out front of the stage. Yeah, come on, Rudy, cause I got something to say. But I'll see, come on, Rudy, cause I wanna see your face. Yeah, come on, Rudy, cause I got something to say. Come on. Well, you see a little different, buena. And we're sitting with the devil, I'm putting the same on now. And I look feel alright, I have to tell you. I think it's time for me to finally introduce you to the
Welcome to the Young Jerks tonight. I didn't even mean to play that again. It's so funny. I meant to remove that. The music, we got struck on it last night. We're gonna get struck on it again. That's probably the last time I'll play it because I took a chance by playing some morphine, and it is copyrighted. So there's the version that you'll get to see twice now on the show, and probably never again because of the music. We're not getting paid tonight. I guess. I guess we're giving it away for morphine. But I love that song. That song is great. I'm glad we did it at least once or twice. But you can do super chats if you want to help us out. But we find ways to make money here. Making money, Mike. Um, and I do need the money because I'm going to court. I'm going to court. I went to court today. I was sued for defamation, as some people might know. Um, had a big court hearing today for that. It was our motion to dismiss. And I want to talk about that. A lot happened today while I was in court. I got there wicked early. I got there 2 hours earlier. And so much news with Nancy and Savannah Guthrie and Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Mass Auditor Diana DiZoglio, Epstein. We have so much Epstein stuff to share tonight. We're going to go through it all. But my day started with a dog walk like it always does. But it was only one because I canceled the rest to get to court and get there early. I was there 2 hours early. That's me. I got to be there early. I was there super early. And I accidentally walked. It's so funny. I walked by number one, the Omni Parker Hotel, a famous hotel. I have a lot of history with that hotel, actually, with some famous guests that we kind of, welcomed every year to the Boston Common for the Hemp Fest, the Freedom Rally. A lot of people stayed there, a lot of celebs that I booked and people I know. And it's come up in some kind of drama streams. I don't know if that's the right Omni hotel, but I almost stopped in for lunch. I didn't, but I had, other things to do over there. And it's funny because I walked into court, and the first thing I did is I walked into the wrong courtroom. There's two courts right next to each other. And the first one I walked into was the SJC, the Mass SJ. I said, it's funny because it says the John Adams Courthouse or whatever. And so it doesn't even say SJC. And I walk in, I'm like, is this the right court? I said, which court is this? And the officer's like, SJC. And I'm like, holy shit, no wonder why I look up and it's beautiful. And then I got to the right courtroom. And yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. See, now I'm worried about some of your comments I'm laughing at, and I like them, but I'm afraid to put them up on the screen because I don't want you to get sued or me to get sued. But it's kind of money making Mike. I didn't make any money today. I was losing money. I'm paying the best attorney. I say the biggest thing that I've learned today. I always look at things as a learning experience. And the big thing I learned today is definitely if you're getting sued for defamation and it's serious, like this case is, get, if you can afford it, the best attorney who specializes in media work, defamation cases, and advising corporations on it, knowing the laws and having done it for other local press people and been successful at it. Really important. And the biggest thing I want to say is I'm so thankful for all the people that donated. I'm not out of the woods yet, but the donations made a big difference in my defense. And the fact that I could get the best attorney. It was expensive. It's been expensive. It's going to continue to be expensive. So I'm going to get another bill for today. But today, I'll just tell you what happened briefly, if I can, without saying too much because I don't want to get in trouble. This is ongoing litigation. I'm not supposed to really talk about it. That's why I've kept quiet. I did do like one show early on, just kind of going through it quickly, but I haven't said too much that could get me in trouble. And I think that's the big thing for me too, and a lot of other folks out there, is the words you use and how careful you are about broaching certain topics, especially with people who are litigious, is you got to be careful. You got to be careful with what you say and how you say it. And I think I've pretty much always done that, honestly. And I think that's what's going to help me in this case. The two things is I'm careful with my words, and number two, um, I got the best attorney. And so that's what it felt like today. And we'll see what happens. I'll say one thing, like I almost got in trouble actually, because my attorney just basically, I get him now. He went up there and he said, "You don't need to come up." He just went up. And at one point I wanted to tell him something. And I'm sitting there in the audience and I got up. And I got out. I started to open and the bailiff, she friggin' I apologized to her after. I didn't need, I was just, it's funny. I didn't think it was that big of a deal if I went up because it was about me, but it was funny. I don't know how I get in trouble when I'm 2 hours early. I'm 2 hours early. I love that bailiff, actually. I'd like to have coffee with her. Maybe I should invite her on the show. Show up in another one before and say, I don't want to try to influence the courts. No. But yeah, today was it's just something to, you know, like, wow, here we are. This is going to decide it. And I think we got a good judge. I do. There's, most of it I think is just, I think it's already out, but I think there's one little thing, and it's just, we'll see which way it goes. I feel very confident after today, even if we don't win this motion, but we'll see what happens. I feel good today. I feel like, I think my attorney does too. I can't speak for him, not speaking for him, just my kind of feeling on today. What was weird too, it was kind of, well, let me just say this, like when you're doing a motion to dismiss and the judge is really on point and has read everything and is right, like this judge was like good. Like she was informed, she knew what was going on, and she's asking the right questions, and you also have an anti-slap motion, which means if you win, if I win on this, the person who sued me is probably going to have to pay my legal expenses. And so that was briefly mentioned, but my lawyer didn't even get the full time. And the reason why I think was twofold, and it's tough to know whether to read into it, but number one, the plaintiff's attorney was having a medical issue. He was like, "My heart's not doing well today." Like everyone's like, "What?" Like he's like, "But I'll get through it." It was just, so there was kind of like a medical issue with the other attorney. So that's why I think it was short. But usually short and that type of thing, it means the judge already kind of knows which way they're going, I think. And especially on my side as the defense, because if she's going to likely rule against you, she's going to let you go and go and go, because she's going to say, make your best point, prove me, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like I'm in good shape here. We'll see what happens, though. It's going to happen quickly, hopefully. Could be tomorrow, could be next week. We'll see what happens. Motion to dismiss on this defamation case against me. It's the first time I've ever been sued. Like I've been doing this for over 20 years, probably 25 years, this kind of activism, reporting, journalism, a show, podcast, all that stuff, blogs. And I've never been sued. I've covered a lot of stories, gone up against a lot of big corporations. This is the first time I've ever been sued, and I think I'm feeling good. All right, so I guess I'll read the chat. Yeah, appreciate Lady Zelda. She did held a fundraiser. DJ from Calling All Beings held a fundraiser. Mazda Media held a fundraiser. So I definitely want to thank everyone who has contributed. Even the turtle riders who don't like me anymore. You guys are defending free speech. I appreciate what you did. Like I do. And this is your update. Like, and I gotta say, like, we raised almost 20,000. I think it's at 20,000 at this point. Um, of the fees, it's been over 25,000. I posted the receipts, the bills. I showed you everything, and I showed you even when I was paying it. You could see everything. I showed you every. I don't owe anything at this point, but I'm about to owe more because Rob, my attorney, is going to bill me for today. So I'll have a bill this month. So it's going to be more than 25 grand. It's probably going to be about, I don't know. I wonder how much she's going to charge. I bet it'll be a couple thousand, maybe 1,000 today, maybe 2,000. I don't know. A lot of this stuff, the cost is the research. Like, and these, my attorney and his paralegal put a lot of time into researching and writing up this long, and they're expensive. And like I said, they're the best. And that's why I hired them. So I appreciate you all for donating because with that money, it made a difference in my defense. And it could like save me from having a lot of stress and heartache for a long time dealing with this shit. If we can just shut it down right at the beginning, that's the best thing, even if it costs, a chunk of change. And so you guys really did help us out. Like I can't, you know, so far the bill's been 25,000. We raised 20,000. I spent 5,000 on it. You guys funded 20, and it's going to be a little more. If you want to kick in, you can definitely kick in with, whether it's super chats or even, hitting us up on the defense fund. We still have that up there. But I'm hoping it's going to be over. Hopefully I'm not going to be asking for any more money on that. It'll be over. And honestly, I'm not, even if we win our anti-slap, it's going to be hard to get the money. Like it's not, you know, and I think the anti-slap is the least likely to win, like our opposing, you know, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. If you guys have any questions or comments on it, let me know. And we thought about doing more fundraising. Some of my mod team want me to do something, but I'm just holding off because I don't feel like I want to overdo it if this is it. You know what I mean? If this is it, we're good. And Sarah's got it in there. If you want to donate tonight, if you want to kick in to help out with the next bill, but beyond that, let's hope it's over. Because if not, I'm gonna have to raise a lot more money, which sucks. So yeah, I don't blame you. I think you actually gave, Joe. Didn't you give? You donate. If I remember correctly, you even donated, didn't you, Joe? Pretty sure. Maybe I'm thinking. Maybe you did. I don't know. A lot of people did donate. But this is where I wanted to start the show. It's so funny. So much has happened today. Besides myself going to court, Nancy Guthrie, new surveillance still photos came out from her Nest camera. And this is one of them. The FBI and Pima County sheriffs put this out today. There's like four photos here. Let me scroll through them here. There's another one. Look at that one. You recognize these people? The FBI wants to talk to you. They're getting a lot of tips apparently. Here's a third one. I don't know why they just didn't put out the video. Where's the video? Has anyone seen a video or is it just this? Because I like I said, I had my phone put away most of the day. I was watching a little JFK in Boston at a Dunkin' Donuts earlier today. And then I went to court and I had to turn off my phone. So I got a lot of videos up and one's started up. I'm trying to figure out which one here. Okay, that's all right. Let me just stop that. All right. But geez, did any video come out or is it just these still photos? Has anyone seen video of this? 'Cause I don't get why they just didn't put the whole video out. Oh, you did see the video on Court TV. Okay, I'm gonna have to look for that. Because I think video does even more. I like the still photos. I think they should put out still photos because traditional print and even TV might just show the still photos, but I think video shows a person's gait, how they act, move. So, if anyone has a link to that, if you find a link to that video footage, put it in the chat, and I'll try to play it tonight if I can. All right, so that happened today. Um, there was also Kelsey Fitzsimmons news. This is crazy. We just covered this yesterday, and I'm just wondering if us talking about the family tree and looking at the family tree websites. Yeah, everyone's telling me to look at the Mormons have a big family website to see if the McCarthys are related. This happened today. Basically, they got a response that the defense team for Kelsey Fitzsimmons is pleased to release today's decision from the Chief Justice of the Superior Court. He basically just said one day after the filing, after we reported it yesterday, that Kathleen McCarthy Naiman is scheduled elsewhere. She's not going to be doing any of the trial or the court for Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She's out. Oh, you did posted the link with the video in the chat. Is that from Cash Patel? I'll grab that. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. You know what? I'm not gonna do it right now, but I will. I will definitely use that. Um, yeah, Diana DiZoglio too also did a press conference today. Mass State Auditor. She's announcing that she's suing. And I say, what do they have to hide up at the State House? They're hiding shit at the State House. She wants to audit them. She did a press conference today announcing she is going to sue them, which is good. So what I want to do right now is I want to get into some of this. We have congressional stuff happening today. People are speaking about it in Congress. Jeffrey Epstein, I'm going to play some of the video. We're also going to have deposition from Maxwell herself. We're going to put that up. Brand new, just got posted. I think it happened today, actually. Deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell. And she basically just pleads the fifth the whole time. But you get to see her and you get to hear the questions and you get to see her do it. It's interesting. We're going to play that. Um, we also have Epstein deposition, all kinds of shit that's been posted and released recently. So we're going to play it all. And I guess, what do you want to see first? Do you want to see, I'm guessing the Ghislaine Maxwell, the new stuff. I think that's what we should play first. Deposition started. Are we going to sleep tonight? I know, right? It's going to be hard, actually, to sleep tonight because the thing is, I don't even think like that about this lawsuit because it could be Friday. You know, a lot of judges, they don't get through their work done. It could be next week. Oh, thank you so much, Kenna. Kenna C says, you've got this. You'll win this. That's the thing. I feel confident we'll win this no matter what. It's just whether it gets just thrown out just based on not even the details. Like that's the thing about my attorney. Like a layman, someone that didn't know what they were doing would try to argue the whole case in a motion to dismiss. He's just going right at it on the law to make it easy for the judge. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, especially because we play the copyright music and we're not going to get any monetization tonight. 2 nights in a row. We're like JFK now. We're playing music and getting whacked. We only rely on your Venmo or your super chats. All right. Let's play this deposition. I want to watch this deposition. This is interesting. Here we go. Oh, this is the wrong one. Do I got the wrong one out? No, I don't. I hit the wrong. I hold on. Here we go. Exactly. And honestly, they probably demonetize us anyways for the content. Like last night, we got demonetized on two fronts. On one video, we got demonetized for the Donnie Wahlberg, Boston's Finest, for playing that, and we got demonetized on the music. And tonight, we'll probably get demonetized on the music and this content, which is not fit for kids or whatever. YouTube is funny. But at least, there's different types of demonetization. Sometimes when you get whacked hard. Sometimes it's just like, oh, we're just not going to pay you. Oh, you can't hear this, right?
In 2025,
I'm sorry.
the
Let me
Subcommittee on
start this
Government
over.
Operations of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform voted by voice to approve a motion directing the chairman to it pursuant to House Rule 10. Accordingly, House Rule 10 grants the committee broad jurisdiction for the committee to conduct investigations of any matter at any time. On July 22nd, 2025, the Subcommittee on Government Operations of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform voted by voice to approve a motion directing the chairman to authorize and issue a subpoena to Ghislaine Maxwell for a deposition. On July 23rd, 2025, Chairman Comer issued a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell to appear today for a deposition in furtherance of the committee's investigation into the actions and investigations of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell. I will enter the subpoena and corresponding cover letter as Exhibit 1. I will enter as Exhibit 2 a letter dated July 29th, 2025 from David Oscar Marcus, counsel for Ms. Maxwell, stating in short that his client would invoke her Fifth Amendment rights and request for the deposition to occur after the resolution of her Supreme Court petition. I will enter as Exhibit 3 a letter dated August 1st, 2025 from Chairman Comer to David Oscar Marcus, stating that the committee would continue its good faith negotiations and postpone Ms. Maxwell's deposition pending the resolution of her Supreme Court petition. I will enter as Exhibit 4 a letter dated January 20th, 2026 from 2026 from David Oscar Marcus to Chairman Comer, outlining that his client still intended to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights. The committee noticed today's deposition on February 4th, 2026. I will enter the notice for this deposition as Exhibit 5. Can the witness please state her name and spell her last name for the record?
Before she does that, this is David Marcus, and I just wanted to introduce her and make a brief statement. So members of the committee, on my advice, Ghislaine Maxwell will respectfully invoke her Fifth Amendment right to silence and decline to answer questions today, even though she would very much like to answer your questions. She must remain silent because Ms. Maxwell has a habeas petition currently pending that demonstrates her conviction rests on a fundamentally unfair trial. For example, jurors lied during voir dire to secure seats on the jury, and the government promised immunity and then broke that promise. Newly discovered documents now demonstrate these facts conclusively. If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there is a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump.
I want to thank some of the Venmos and Cash Apps because I'm a little behind. I actually, haven't done shows in a while, haven't had many Cash Apps or Venmos, but I have received some recently. So I want to thank all of them tonight. First of all, we had Tammy VD, I'll call her V-D. Tammy V, we'll call her Tammy V. I don't say the last names in case, people get worried about their privacy, but I'll say thank you to Tammy V. She sent $10 recently, about 5 days ago. I want to thank her. I want to thank Suzanne. You know Suzanne Arundel. She also sent a nice donation recently as well. Let me find that one. Why can't I find it now? Oh, there it is. She says, just cuz. Thank you, Suzanne. And I also want to thank, tonight, we just got a donation from Shannon. Nice little donation. And she says, actually, was there a message? I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh, justice and maybe a cup of coffee. I'll use that for my my lawyer. That's really what I'm using it for. It definitely covered my coffee today. So I appreciate that, Shannon. And who else? Did I miss anyone else? There was just a Cash App, I think, that came in too. I think I got them all. I want to make sure I thank those people too. Mary W. Sent 25 on the Cash App. Says, "You're gonna win, Mike. Here's a shamrock for luck." Oh my God! Thank you so much, Mary. I do feel lucky today. We'll see. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's you, Mary. Thank you, Mary Malaki. Mary. Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Thank you so much. I love you in the chat. Thank you. All right, so let's get back to the video.
Trump. Only she can provide a complete account, and some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Ms. Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to hear that explanation. Thank you, members of the committee, for having us today. Ms. Maxwell can now proceed to answer her questions with the Fifth Amendment. Thank you.
And the witness, please state her name and spell her last name for the record.
Ghislaine Noel Marion Maxwell, Maxwell.
Thank you. My name is Jack Emmer, and I am the Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman Comer. Under the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform's rules, you are allowed to have a counsel present to advise you during this deposition. You have a counsel representing you in a personal capacity present with you today.
Correct.
Will counsel please identify themselves for the record?
Go ahead, Leah. You can go first.
Leah Safian, LeahSaffian.
Thank you, Jack. This is David Marcus here, and my colleague Melissa Madrigal is also present.
Thank you. For the record, starting with the majority staff, can the additional staff members please introduce themselves with their name, title, and affiliation? Starting with the majority, can members of Congress please identify themselves for the record?
James Comer, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Andy Biggs, Arizona, 15th Congressional District.
Williamson in South Carolina, 4th Congressional District.
Melanie Stanford, Congresswoman, New Mexico First Congressional District.
I, Raja Krishnamurthy, Illinois 8th District.
James Walkinshaw, Virginia, 11th District.
Suhas Silverline, Virginia 10th District.
Ro Khanna, California, 17th District.
Robert Garcia, Ranking Member, Oversight.
Thank you all. Ms. Maxwell, before we begin, I would like to go over the ground rules for this deposition. The questioning will proceed in rounds. The majority will ask questions for an hour, and then the minority will have an opportunity to ask questions for an hour if they choose. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. The clock will stop if you need to confer with counsel. Your counsel is speaking, and when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's rounds of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
I do.
There is a court reporter taking down everything I say and everything you say to make a written record for the interview. For the record to be clear, please wait until the staffer questioning you finishes each question before you begin your answer, and the staffer will wait until you finish your response before proceeding to the next question. Further, to ensure the court reporter can properly record this deposition, please speak clearly, concisely, and slowly. Also, the court reporter cannot record nonverbal answers such as nodding or shaking your head. So it is important that you answer each question with an audible verbal answer. Do you understand?
I do.
We had a member just join. Can they identify themselves for the record? Thank you. Exhibits may be entered into the record. Majority exhibits will be identified numerically. Minority exhibits will be identified alphabetically. Do you understand?
I do.
We want you to answer our questions in the most complete and truthful manner possible, so we will take our time. If you have any questions or do not fully understand the question, please let us know. We will attempt to clarify, add context to, or rephrase our questions. If we ask about specific conversations or events in the past and you are unable to recall the exact words or details, you should testify to the substance of those conversations or events to the best of your recollection. If you recall only a part of a conversation or event, you should give us your best recollection of those events or parts of conversations that you do recall. Do you understand?
I do.
You are required by law to answer questions from Congress truthfully. This also applies to questions posed by congressional staff in this deposition. Do you understand?
I do.
If at any time you knowingly make false statements, you could be subject to criminal prosecution, including but not limited to perjury. Do you understand?
I do.
This includes both knowingly providing false testimony, but also stating that you do not recall or remember something when in fact you do. Do you understand?
I do.
Furthermore, you cannot tell half-truths or exclude information necessary to make statements accurate. You are required to provide all information that would make your response truthful.
Sugar to it, I'm doing very well. I'm feeling good, especially after court today. We'll see what happens. We're waiting on a big decision, let's put it that way. And I would bet it goes my way, hopefully. But I don't really know. We'll see what happens. You never really know until it happens.
Deliberate failure to disclose information can constitute as a false statement. Do you understand?
I do.
Is there any reason you are unable to provide truthful testimony in today's interview?
Well, as you know, she's going to take the Fifth Amendment. So that's our caveat to that question.
Please note that if you wish to assert a privilege or any statement today, that assertion must comply with the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Pursuant to that, Committee Rule 16C1 states, for the chair to consider assertions of privilege over testimony or statements, witnesses or entities must clearly state the specific privilege being asserted and the reason for the assertion on or before the scheduled date of testimony or appearance. For the purposes of the deposition, objections must be stated concisely and...
My surgery is next Tuesday. So I had court this Tuesday. Next Tuesday, eye surgery. Tuesdays. Next 2 Tuesdays are like crazy for me. Yeah. So yeah, next week, next Tuesday, eye surgery. Court today, eye surgery Tuesday.
Non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. If the witness refuses to answer a question to preserve a privilege, the committee may seek a ruling from the chair. If the chair overrules any such objection, the witness shall be ordered to answer. If the witness continues to refuse to answer a question despite being ordered to do so, the witness may be subject to sanction. Do you understand?
I do.
Ordinarily, we take a 5-minute break at the end of each hour of questioning, but if you need a longer break or a break before that, please let us know and we will be happy to accommodate.
We don't need a long break. She's just not going to answer.
Pending question, we would ask that you finish answering the question before we take the break. Do you understand?
I do.
Finally, I will note for everyone here today that the contents of what we discussed in the deposition today is confidential under the House deposition regulation. Under the rules, the chairman and ranking member, minority members shall consult before any release of testimony or transcripts, including portions thereof. This means it is a violation of House committee rules to disclose the contents of the deposition prior to its official release. For this reason, the marked exhibits that we will use today will remain with the court reporter so that they can go into the official transcript, and any copies of those exhibits will be kept at the table or returned to us when we wrap up. Can the reporter please swear in the witness?
Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Madam Court Reporter, we could not hear you well, and I'm sure Ms. Maxwell could not hear you. I don't know if there's a way to give the court reporter a mic so that, thank you very much.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Maxwell, do you have any questions before we begin?
I do not.
The time reads 10:14 and the majority's time will begin now.
Answering anything.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, have you ever coerced, directed, or otherwise instructed any young woman or girl to provide sexual favors to Mr. Epstein or any other individual?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you and Jeffrey Epstein attempt to surround yourselves with influential individuals to curry favor and shield yourselves from potential scrutiny?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, can you please provide us with all the names of other additional co-conspirators to the crimes perpetuated by you and Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, is it your intention to answer every question put to you by the committee today with the assertion of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
The answer to that is yes also. So just as her lawyer, I'll tell you, yes, that's her intention.
Does the minority wish to
Her
ask
attorney.
any questions?
Someone was asking where is it?
We will go
Where
off the
her
record.
attorney is? He just spoke. What happened to that? There was some time left on that, I thought. Or did
We
I
can go
switch
back on
over?
the record.
Oh, here we go. All right, cool.
Good morning, Ms. Maxwell. My name is
Good
John.
morning.
Morning. My name is
Are we having technical
I
issues
just have
or
a
not?
few questions on behalf of the minority as well. At any point during your personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, were you aware that Mr. Epstein was sexually abusing minors and adult women?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Have you ever participated in the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Are you aware of Donald Trump ever engaging in sexual activity with an individual introduced to him by you or Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
I just want to stop that for a
Okay.
second. Did she just say what I think she said?
My right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any?
I hatefully decline to answer this question. And
I don't get this. Well, I guess I do. If you're innocent, if you haven't done anything, you could easily answer. Have you done shit against children? I mean, these are pretty basic questions that anybody and humanity should be able to answer. And she can't answer them without her fifth. It's just wild. This is just sick. This is so sick to really think about what she's saying. If I'm under oath, I could it's so I think 99.9999% of people can get up under oath and say, yeah, I've never fucked with any kids. She can't say that. That's how sick this is. Should be ambiguous, you know?
any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Have you ever facilitated the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman by Mr. Epstein?
Sick.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Have you ever participated in the sexual abuse of any minor or adult woman?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Are you aware of Donald Trump ever engaging in sexual activity with an individual introduced to him by you or Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Okay. It appears that the committee will not receive substantive answers from you at this deposition. So at this point, I'd like to enter into the record as minority exhibits A and B, letters that the committee has received.
This is the sick part. There were so many men involved in this. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And they're still being shielded by the Congress and and definitely the FBI. It's funny how she's the only woman in jail. Besides Jeffrey Epstein, they're the only two to serve any time for this bullshit. And there are a lot more people involved. And, you know, even beyond the Bill Gates and some of these people that they definitely targeted, I'm talking about the real ringleaders, like the hidden people. The FBI is protecting them. This is just wild. How do you get protected?
Received from survivors of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell's abuse. These letters speak to the survivors' horrific experiences and to their desires for transparency, accountability, and justice in this investigation. We hope for their sake that we are ultimately able to get the answers that they deserve and that we were unable to get here today. Finally, I'd like to enter into the record as Minority Exhibit C, a letter from Representative Ro Khanna dated February 8th, 2026. And with that, we can go off the record.
We'll go back on the record. Ms. Maxwell, considering your invocation of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination pursuant to the terms of the subpoena you are.
You know what was interesting? They just showed that they excerpted some stuff out that was off the record. They had off the record questions for her. I wonder if she answered any of those off the record. That's different than being, I wonder if she gave them any information off the record. That's one thing interesting watching this. I'm glad we watched this because now we know that they asked off the record. That's actually a smart move. Because this seems like a show, like a whole, horse and pony show here. Because they knew she wasn't going to answer questions and they want to look like they're doing something. They should bring in every single one of these people in and ask them questions. All of them. And put out the video just like you're doing with her.
Excused.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Chairman Comer. Appreciate you.
Thank you. We'll go off the record.
So this was yesterday, apparently.
After the Justice Department made
millions
millions
of
unredacted records.
Yeah, there we go. I didn't mean to put any CNN on. Sorry. Jesus. Don't get me in trouble. Let's play this one. No, actually, we're not going to play this one yet. This is the one I want to see. This is what else I missed today. O'Connor. This is what I like. I like when a Democrat and a Republican are working together to get this Epstein shit out. O'Connor, and you see him, he's going on like a lot of conservative outlets now, like even the podcasters, Sean Ryan. I like this. This is what I like to see. A Democrat not afraid to work with Republicans, not afraid to go on Republican platforms. And I like this other guy, this Republican dude, who's leading it with him. Like they're both like, those two guys should run for president. Those two guys should run for president. Yeah, strike two tonight. Strike two. Hopefully they don't really whack me. You know what I mean? We don't want a hard whack. I don't care about those little soft ones where they just say, we're not monetizing you. The ones I don't like are the ones where they say, strike one on your account. One more and you're done. Yeah, I bet you did. I hope Jake Tappa doesn't take it out on me now, Joe Biffle, because of what you did to his wife. That would be, I'll blame you if they come after me. Yeah, Massey, that's the guy. Thank you, Mia. You know who I'm talking about. Massey is good. I'm like, shit, I could vote for that guy. I don't know what he is on the other issues, but Jesus, he's like legit and real. I respect it. I respect when they work together. Like, that's what I'm like. I'm a get shit done guy. That's why I focus on the real meat and potatoes, like the local stuff and the news conferences and the government hearings. I love getting shit done. Yeah, I'm setting you up. Definitely setting you up over there, Sarah. All right. Let this is, you're going to see this congressman, I apparently really called it out today. And I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to this. Let's watch this clip.
Gentlewoman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Khanna, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congress
covering up names. There's no doubt about it. We've seen a lot of the evidence in the Epstein files and the emails and the charges. They're covering up names. And these guys are calling out 6 names that are being covered up that were part of the ring. The perpetrators. Not like a Bill Clinton or I don't know, maybe Donald Trump is part of the ring. But I'm talking about the people who really trafficked people, who really did like the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, like the Epstein stuff. They're part of the ring. There are other people who just, I think, went to have sick fun. Let's put it that way. But these are the ringleaders. The ringleaders are being even covered up. 6 wealthy, powerful men.
Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice. They acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men.
Have they?
These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities?
I can't believe they named them today. That is crazy. See, I didn't even know that. I was in court today. Lex Wexner, we knew he was involved. We knew the whole entire time. That's the guy that owned Victoria's Secret, the Ultimate Brands guy. He's the main financer. And this famous Saudi Arabia, well, Dubai, whatever we call him, Dubai Ports guy. Wow, this is amazing. Holy shit. And this is the question. Why didn't the FBI, why were they hiding this shit? And why did they release millions and millions of files and then not even give us like an investigation, like a summary, like a report? Like, this is what we found. That's what we really want, right? They didn't do any of that.
To become public. And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files. But the story gets worse.
That's what I want to know.
The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files.
Yeah, the global ports guy, is that the same guy from Saudi Arabia? The prince? I don't think it's the same guy. I'm not sure. Maybe it is, because I think you would have said the Prince of Saudi Arabia, the guy who runs Saudi Arabia. I think it might be another different guy, but I wouldn't doubt if he's involved too. There's a lot of shady shit going on, and it's international. This is unbelievable.
In March, long before Thomas Massey and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act. Now, my bill is clear. The Epstein Transparency Act requires them to unredact those FBI files. And yet the Justice Department said to me and to Congressman Massey, we just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And guess what? The FBI sent scrubbed files. That means the survivor's statement to the FBI, naming rich and powerful men who went to Epstein's island, who went to his ranch, who went to his home and raped and abused underage girls or saw underage girls being paraded, they're all hidden. They're all redacted. It's a little bit of a farce. They're inviting all the members of Congress to go to see the Department of Justice, quote unquote, unredacted files, but they've got all redacted files from the FBI. And it's not the fault of the Justice Department attorneys. They were just told upload things that Donald Trump's FBI had already scrubbed. It's a blatant violation of the Epstein Transparency Act, but it also asks a fundamental question. Who are they protecting? Why are they protecting these rich and powerful men, people I call part of the Epstein class? Why are we in a country where there is no elite accountability for people who do the most heinous things? You have in England the king now calling for an investigation and possible prosecution of his own brother. You have in Norway the princess who no longer has support to be the queen. And yet in the United States of America, we have someone in the cabinet, Howard Lutnick, who is all over these Epstein files.
He got some questions today, too, as well. I'm going to have to dig that out, maybe. I'm not sure tonight, but maybe soon on the channel. Lutnick got some questions today in Congress, apparently.
Who allegedly had business with Epstein after he was convicted of pedophilia, and he still is in the cabinet. We need to ask ourselves, are we in America going to have elite accountability? Are we going to call on rich and powerful people who broke the law or cavorted with a pedophile, a convicted pedophile? Are we going to call them to account? Are we going to have prosecutions for billionaires who went to this island and either raped underage girls or saw underage girls being raped and didn't say anything? Are we going to have investigations? I'll tell you what this is about. It's not just about the 1,200 survivors. It's about 2 tiers of justice in America. It's about people who can accumulate wealth and power and don't have to care about the rest of America. They have destroyed so much of this country. Income inequality is at a 60-year high. Workers' salaries are less than they have been for 75 years as a part of GDP. Somehow this country seems to be working for the rich and powerful, but it's not working for ordinary working class Americans. I say enough. It's time to begin with accountability for the Epstein class. Hold them in front of Congress, those people who visited the island or did business with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. Investigate them, prosecute them, and let's return to democratic accountability in the United States of America. Let's return to one system of justice in the United States of America. Let's return to a place where every American has a stake in this country.
Oh, that was amazing. That was Ro Khanna from California. Fired up today. God damn. There's also this that got recently released. It's from 2010. Jeffrey Epstein, when he got subpoenaed. This one, it's got a content warning on it, so if you're not ready for it, I'll put, actually, let me put up the content warning on the screen so people can see it. And again, this is probably like the 6th time we get whacked tonight. This is the stuff they don't want you to get monetized on YouTube with, because we're definitely not getting monetized tonight. We got the content warning. All right, let's play the tape.
Mr. Epstein, how long have you been sexually attracted to underage minor females?
Objection. I'd like to answer that question as well, like all your other questions today. However, I have to follow my attorney's advice. They have told me that I must invoke my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right to not answer those questions today, or any questions relevant to this lawsuit.
What was the name of any of the underage minors that were the subject of the criminal charges to which you pled guilty?
I don't know.
So tell me about those charges. What was the allegations of those charges?
Form. Solicitation of prostitution.
Okay.
Not underage prostitution, prostitution.
Were the victims or the prostitutes, as you would say, were they minors?
Form. I pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution.
Okay, so tell me what those cases were about. What happened?
I have no more. I can't tell you any more than that.
You don't know what you pled guilty to?
I just told you. I'm going to object to form. That's asked and answered.
Do you know what you pled guilty to? The facts.
Solicitation of prostitution.
I understand that's the charge. What were the underlying facts?
Sorry.
What did you do? Did you pull up in a car, talk to the person? Did they come over to your house? How'd you get them? Those kind of things. Tell the jury what were the underlying facts about the charge that you pled guilty to?
Form, move to strike. I don't know.
You don't know what you pled guilty to?
I pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution. Oh, not underage prostitution, but prostitution.
And just so the jury understands, these 3 females that were the subject of the guilty pleas in state court were procured by your method of having underage minor females locate other underage minor females and bring them to your house. Isn't that correct?
Objection. Argumentative, compound, harassing, assumes facts not in evidence.
You'll have
and I move to strike.
I have to repeat the question.
Okay.
Redacted.
Are all people that were, at the time you engaged in sexual activity with them, were underage and were brought by other underage minor females? Is that true?
Same objections incorporated. As well as the motion to strike.
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't even understand the question.
Isn't it true that you used underage minor females to bring other underage minor females to your house for sex?
Asked and answered. Way earlier on.
Oh, well, he doesn't understand the question, so I'm going through the progression.
Not a problem.
Because he knows he's guilty. Looking down a lot.
But it is asked and answered.
As your firm, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jaffe, has been described by the U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history by crafting malicious cases of a sexual nature against people like me and others in order to fleece, using bogus schemes, in the U.S. Attorney's words, and investment schemes. Unfortunately, though, I'd like to answer every one of your questions if I'm able. My attorneys have advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, at the moment, I cannot answer that question.
That was just a quick clip, just to give you a taste of it. But we have the full 2010 deposition that was released as part of the Epstein files. I want to play that tonight too.
Good morning. We're now on the video record. Today is Wednesday, the 17th day of February 2010. The time is 11:16 a.m. We're here at U.S. Legal Support, 444 West Railroad Avenue, West Palm Beach, Florida. This is the videotape deposition of Jeffrey Epstein, taken by the plaintiffs in case number 502008CA028051NBAB. The matter of LN versus Jeffrey Epstein, filed in the 15th Judicial Circuit in and for Palm Beach County, Florida. Court reporter Terry Becker of U.S. Legal Support. The videographer Joe Rogan of U.S. Legal Support. Would all counsel please state their appearance for the record?
Brad Edwards.
Be right back.
Mr. Jaffe.
Not Mike, but Stephen Jaffe.
Michael Pike on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us your name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Mr. Epstein, you made a comment when you came in the room that you were appreciative of me being respectful to your housekeeper yesterday, and I intend for that to be the same with you today. I want to start by asking you, at this point, we've gone through a lot of discovery in this case. There aren't many disputed facts as to what actually happened at your house. And generally, I think you would agree that you devised a way for young females to come to your house and engage in varying degrees of sexual activity. Some of the girls as young as 12, some of them as old as 17 or so, most in between. But as of yet, you haven't provided an explanation. So I want to provide you an opportunity to tell the jury at this time why you did it.
I'm going to object to confusing, compound, and irrelevant as worded.
I'd like to answer that question, frankly. However, at this time, my attorneys have told me that I can't, and I must invoke my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, or I risk losing their counsel. Accordingly, I therefore assert those rights. Sorry.
And in addition to that, I'm going to move to strike counsel's statement as narrative as well.
I understand. We wanted to provide him the opportunity if today was going to be the day.
Same thing. We've just
I'd like to answer that question as well, like all your other questions today. However, I have to follow my attorney's advice. They have told me that I must invoke my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right to not answer those questions today or any questions relevant to this lawsuit. So accordingly, I'm going to assert those rights and under the Constitution is guaranteed by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment.
Okay. Would you consider yourself addicted to sex with minor females?
Same objections. You know, Mr. Edwards, I want to be very respectful. And as the current U.S. Attorney has described your law firm as a criminal enterprise and part of one of the largest frauds in Florida's history, it's been reported that your firm has fabricated multiple cases against me in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions and millions of dollars. So unfortunately, at this time, though I'd like to answer that question, on advice of counsel, I'm going to have to refrain and assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right.
Can you then provide an explanation for what relevance that soliloquy of yours has to whether or not you engaged in sex acts with she was a minor?
Objection. No, he cannot. Argumentative. Compound. Harassing.
Mr. Pike, with all due respect, it wasn't my idea for him to give this speech about a former RRA law firm. I'm just asking him, elaborate on that.
Counsel, I'm working with your follow-up question. So I'm objecting, and I'm objecting to form and stating the reasons on the record as to why the form is required to be objected to based upon your question.
Will he elaborate on the relevance of that soliloquy to his touching when she was 13, 14, and 15 years old in a sexual manner?
I'm going to object again. Argumentative, compound, harassing, and irrelevant as worded.
You can answer.
I'd like to answer. However, I'm going to have to assert my 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment, and 14th Amendment right as advised by my counsel. Otherwise, I risk losing their advice.
Mr. Epstein, have you ever been diagnosed with a sex addiction to minors by a psychologist or other medical professional?
I intend to respond to all your questions at some relevant time. However, today, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, I assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights to the United States Constitution.
In addition to that, Mr. Edwards, as the court has ruled in several matters, Mr. Epstein's medical history is not relevant at this time, nor has he placed same at issue in this case.
In some sexual interaction with hundreds of underage minor females in the last 10 years of your life. Is that true?
Objection, relevance.
Mr. Edwards, the current U.S. Attorney has described your law firm as a criminal enterprise and part of the largest fraud in Florida's history. It has been reported that your firm fabricated multiple cases, many multiple.
I'm going to continue to attack you. The hell's up with my mic? Why does StreamYard keep doing this to me? They keep muting me. God damn. But the arrogance of this guy. He's just so arrogant. He is so arrogant. It just goes on. It's unbelievable. I'm looking at my mic again. My mic's working now. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes I forget to hit the button back, and I don't think I did that time. It was actually StreamYard been muting me, and I don't know why. I think I'm going to have to get a new mic. I think I've had it with this mic.
Cases against me in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions and millions of dollars. Unfortunately, at this time, in response to your question, my attorneys advised me that I must assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment right. Though I believe you know that I would really like to answer your questions today, but at this moment I must assert those rights.
It's funny, you have a point, but I'm glad they did, because we get to see the real Epstein. Like, this is because he's basically going to say no to everything. I'm not answering, but I'm going to attack you. It's like we get to see the real Jeffrey Epstein, this prick. He's a prick. He is a prick. Look at this guy. The glasses at the end of the nose, looking like he's looking down at you. I'm very smart. I'm not still muted, am I? I'm not muted. Don't tell me I'm muted. I am not muted. I see the thing moving, right? I'm not muted. Can anyone else confirm that I'm not muted right now? Please help me out. Yeah. I think it was only for a second. I only noticed it for a second. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's play this a little more. This arrogant prick. This goes on for a while.
Risk having my attorneys resign.
Jury that you didn't commit the crimes that have been alleged against you by the various females that were underage when you engaged in sex with them? Are you telling the jury that right now?
Objection, argumentative, harassing.
I would like to respond to that question, as you know. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice and risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, I assert my Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendment right under the United States Constitution.
Mr. Epstein, you understand that this is the video that will be played to the jury in trial against you, and wants answers. These juries are going to, the jury is going to want answers. So I know that you're telling us that you're going to respond at some time in the future, but the time is now. Would you like this opportunity to explain why you engaged in sexual activity with beginning when she was 13 years old and you were 50 years old?
I'm going to object once again. We're getting way too argumentative with the questioning. The questioning is compound, it's speculative, and it's also harassing.
You know why this guy thinks he's so smart too? Because he taught at the Dalton School. He was a school teacher. A lot of school teachers think they're very smart. Sometimes they are. But you get that feeling from him. He taught mathematics and physics at the Dalton School in New York, one of the most prestigious private institutions in New York. So I think he was haughty from that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm wicked smart. I run money. I hang out with Bill Clinton and Donald Trump and Prince Andrew. I'm way above you. I'm educated and I'm wealthy and I'm friends with influential people. You're just down here. I'm looking down at you with my glasses. That's who he was. He wasn't teaching at public school like I did.
Whether or not this deposition video thereof is played in front of a jury is a question of fact, and it will be determined by a judge pursuant to a motion in limiting various portions thereof may or may not be played. So, having placed those objections on the record, I'm going to instruct Mr. Epstein not to answer that question.
Mr. Pipe, I don't know if you watched the 13 hours of harassing questions to Ms. that she sometimes invoked her Fifth Amendment rights, and I understand the adverse inference that will be given. And she was made to answer these questions, and these exact same questions were asked of her. In fact, I'm using the phraseology from Mr. Ludier. I'm not trying to harass him. I'm simply asking him to explain to the jury, if you're saying that it didn't happen, say it didn't happen. If you're saying it did happen, explain to the jury why you did it. That's all we want to hear. I'm being respectful about this.
In an effort to keep a clean record and be respectful to the court reporter, and rather than have a diatribe back and forth between you and myself, I'm going to move to strike your last statement as irrelevant. Let's move on.
Mr. Epstein, is it true you were born January 20th, 1953?
Yes.
Where?
New York.
Where in New York?
Brooklyn.
Did you go to high school there?
Yes, sir.
Where?
Lafayette High School.
After high school, did you attend college?
Yes, sir.
And where was that?
New York.
What college did you attend?
Cooper Union.
I'm sorry.
Cooper Union.
And did you get a degree from Cooper Union?
No, sir.
How many years were you in college?
I believe 2.
What did you study?
Physics.
And why did you leave college early?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to questions that may be relevant to this lawsuit. So accordingly, I assert my constitutional rights as guaranteed by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment.
By you invoking your Fifth Amendment rights as to why you left college, is it safe then to presume that that answer you believe would incriminate you in some way?
Okay, I'm going to move to strike speculative, argumentative, harassing, calls for a legal conclusion. And I know exactly what you're trying to do here, Mr. Edwards, is lace the record with questions that would ultimately give you an adverse inference at any potential trial of this matter. So having put that on the record, I'm going to instruct him not to answer that question based upon his 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights to the United States Constitution.
With all due respect, you cannot invoke his Fifth Amendment rights. Your attorneys instructed me in that fashion.
He can.
And Tatum Miller had to do it herself. So I'd like to hear it from Mr. Epstein. Can we assume that by you invoking your Fifth Amendment rights as to why you left college early, that that answer you feel would incriminate you?
Once again, move to strike for the same reasons. You can.
I've already answered the question, but I'll restate the answer if need be, because I intend to respond and I'd like to respond to all your questions today. However, my counsel has advised me that I must take the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right as under the U.S. Constitution.
Okay. After college, where were you employed?
You know, I'd like to respond to all your questions today. However, on advice of counsel, I intend to take the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right as provided by the United States Constitution or risk losing my counsel's representation.
Well, isn't it true that you were a teacher at the Dalton School in New York after college?
Again, I would like to respond to all your questions. However, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions today regarding to this lawsuit. So I must accept their advice to risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, I assert my constitutional rights as guaranteed by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
Mr. Epstein, did you have sex with any underage students while teaching at the Dalton School?
Could you repeat that?
Yes.
Can you repeat that?
Did you have sex with any underage students while teaching at the Dalton School?
It's almost like he's getting off on it. Like, why would you ask them to repeat that question? You heard that question.
There you are.
They're going to be smiling.
Mr. Edwards, your firm has been described by the U.S. Attorney as one of the largest, as a criminal enterprise, perpetrating one of the largest frauds.
How many times is this guy going to come back and say this? Come on, dude. What a friggin' arrogant prick.
Florida's history. It has been reported that your firm fabricated multiple cases against me and others in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions and millions of dollars. Unfortunately, at this time, in response to your question, my attorneys have advised me that I must assert my 6th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights. Though I believe you know I'd really like to answer your questions, but at this moment I must assert those rights or having my attorneys resign.
Mr. Pike, I think you know that he has a couple options here. He can answer questions or he can invoke his Fifth Amendment rights. This non-responsive verbiage regarding the RRA law firm is not one of the options. It's inappropriate in a deposition, and I'd ask that you instruct your client not to obstruct this process any further. I'm not going to terminate the deposition. I want it to finish. But obviously, this is going to be the subject matter of some motion in the courts, and you know that the judges are not going to appreciate this. So I'd like it if we can just move this process along by eliminating that portion of his answer. I understand what he's saying, I get it, but that's not something responsive to any of these questions, and I think that you know it's inappropriate.
I think the deponent is answering the questions. So if you believe that the responses are inappropriate, I feel that you can take it up with the court with the motion that you're speaking of, as you've done several times before.
After leaving the Dalton School, is it true that you began working as a money manager at Bear Stearns?
I intend to respond to all your questions regarding this lawsuit at some relevant time. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit. Since the U.S. Attorney has described your law firm as a criminal enterprise, Mr. Edwards, and a part of the largest fraud in Florida's history, I am going to assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution.
Isn't it true that while you were working at Bear Stearns, you were already engaging in sex with underage minors?
Again, I believe you know the answers to those questions, but
yes.
Excuse me. May I finish?
Move to strike. Let the witness answer your question.
I would love for him to answer your questions.
Mr. Edwards, as you know, there are serious 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment constitutional rights at issue here, and the witness is attempting to answer your questions to the best of his ability, despite how laced they are with adverse inference presumptions.
I don't want the adverse inference. I want answers. That's it.
So, having said that, please allow the witness to answer the question.
I will.
Okay. Could you repeat the question?
Isn't it true that while working at Bear Stearns, you were already engaging in sex with underage minor females?
As your firm has been described as by the U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise, using some of the cases fabricated against me personally, I would like to answer that question today. However, on advice of counsel, I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, or in fact risk losing their representation.
At some point in time while at Bear Stearns, you met and managed the money for a fellow named Leslie Wexner, correct?
Again, I would like to answer all questions relevant to this lawsuit, but today I must exert my 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution.
In fact, I read in another deposition of yours that you do not consider yourself to be homosexual, correct? You've answered that question before.
Correct.
Do you consider yourself to be bisexual?
No.
Okay. In any event, you did develop a sexual relationship with Leslie Wexner at some point in time. Is that true?
No.
Okay. Did you have a business relationship with Mr. Wexner?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions. I'd like to answer most of your questions, Mr. Edwards, today. But however, especially since your firm has been described by the United States Attorney in South Florida as a criminal enterprise purported to have pulled off the largest fraud in Florida's history, I would like to answer that. However, my attorneys today counsel me that I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution, and therefore I'm going to do that.
Are you saying that because Rothstein Rosenfeld Adler was determined to be a criminal enterprise, or somebody was running a criminal enterprise out of that law firm, that is the reason why you're not going to answer these questions today? You link that together in that answer. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that right.
I'm going to take the 5th Amendment. I intend to respond to all relevant questions today, I would like to respond. Unfortunately, my attorneys have counseled me I can't. I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
Because other law firms have asked very similar questions, and you haven't responded to any of theirs either. So I just want to understand what the relationship between Rothstein, Rosenfeld, Adler is to you invoking your 5th Amendment rights today. If you can articulate that for me.
Form, compound, argumentative.
Rothstein, Rosenfeld, Adler has been described by the U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise, and as part of the largest fraud in Florida's history, it has been reported that your firm fabricated multiple cases using me and against me in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars.
Another longtime friend of yours is Ghislaine Maxwell, right?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions. I'd like to answer most of the questions today, but I can't because my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit. And I must accept their advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Therefore, I'm going to assert my constitutional rights under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment. Excuse me, can we take a break?
Already?
Just restroom.
Yes? Going off the video record at 11:38 a.m.
Thanks.
We're back on the video record at 11:48 a.m.
How did you meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions to this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit and must accept this advice or risk losing my right to effective representation. Accordingly, therefore, I assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right to the U.S. Constitution.
You would agree, would you not, that Ghislaine Maxwell shares your sexual obsession for underage minor females?
Argumentative, speculation, harassing.
You know, Mr. Edwards, the current U.S. Attorney has described your law firm as a criminal enterprise as taking part in one of the largest frauds in Florida's history.
We should drink every time he says that.
It has been widely reported that your firm fabricated multiple cases of a sexual nature against people, and other people, and me, in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars. So unfortunately, at this time, in response to your questions, my attorneys have advised me that I must assert my 6th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights. Though I believe, as you know, I'd really like to answer your questions, but at this moment, I must assert those rights or risk losing my attorney or risk losing effective counsel.
Redacted. Redacted.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit. Your firm has been described as a criminal enterprise. It's part of the largest fraud in Florida's history, fabricating sexual cases against me.
This is unbelievable. He just keeps saying the same shit over and over again. All right, I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to keep playing it, but I need to grab something to eat. I haven't really eaten since before court today. So I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and then I'll be back. I want to play it all. This is fascinating to watch. Even when you don't see me on the screen, I'm still watching it on my phone. I'd just like to see this guy in person, how arrogant he is.
And others. Therefore, unfortunately, though I'd like to answer all of your questions today,
yeah,
I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right.
Did you and Ghislaine Maxwell sexually assault at Leslie Wexner's house?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit. I must accept this advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, I assert my constitutional rights as guaranteed by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
Mr. Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell and you have devised several schemes to lure underage girls to you for sex. Isn't that correct?
Form, argumentative, harassing.
Mr. Edwards, your firm has fabricated multiple cases, sexual harassment claims and other types of sexual cases against me and others in order to be part of what the U.S. Attorney described as the largest fraud in Florida's history. I'd like to answer all your questions. However, my attorneys have counseled me that at least today, I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
Do you own a home in Manhattan?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions to this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit. And I must accept their advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, therefore, I have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution.
Do you own an island in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, no matter how much I'd like to. Therefore, I must accept their advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Therefore, I have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution.
Do you own a home in New Mexico?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit, and as I've had to do with most of your questions here today, I'm going to have to take my attorney's advice and assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution, or risk losing effective representation.
Is it true that you have had underage females at each of those homes for orgies with you and Ghislaine Maxwell?
Form, argumentative, speculation, and harassing.
Well, I would like to answer that question. I really would. However, as your firm has been described by the U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise, its principal purpose was racketeering conspiracy to generate money for the firm and its co-conspirators through the operation and enterprise and through various activities including mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering, and fabricating multiple sex cases against me and others. Though I'd like to answer your question today, Mr. Edwards, my counsel has advised me I must take the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right as provided by the U.S. Constitution.
You know somebody named...
Would you spell that for the record?
No.
Or for the court reporter?
No.
You don't know the name?
No. Could you spell it? Okay.
Did your sexual obsession with underage minor females grow at some point in time to allow you access to these underage minors every single day for sex?
Overbroad, speculation, argumentative, compound, harassing, and confusing. Confusing as worded. You want to break it down, Mr. Edwards?
Isn't it true that for the past 10 years, you have found a way to engage in sexual conduct with underage minors on an everyday basis?
Speculation, argumentative.
As your firm has been described as a criminal enterprise by the United States Attorney and as part of the scheme to defraud people in South Florida of millions of dollars, you have fabricated sexual cases and sexual claims against people like me and others. Unfortunately, this time, though I'd like to answer your question, Mr. Edwards, my counsel has advised me I cannot. And they've advised me I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Isn't it true that you have promised underage minors money or other benefit to engage in sexual conduct with you over the past 10 years?
Again, as I've answered many of your questions today, and unfortunately I'm probably going to end up answering most of your questions today, as your firm has been described, the firm bringing this lawsuit, I believe, has been described, and if I'm wrong, please correct me.
You're wrong.
Okay. This is the firm that didn't notice this deposition
Did not.
originally?
No.
Okay. Did not notice?
Right.
I apologize. So your former firm has been described, and the person you represent, Tatum Miller, in this case, was represented by the firm that was described by the U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history, fabricating multiple sexual cases against me and others in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions and millions of dollars. So though, unfortunately, I'd like to answer each one of your questions today, my counsel has advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment right. Though I believe you know I'd like to answer those questions, but at this moment I must assert those rights or risk losing my attorneys.
Sure, let's test that answer. Let's talk about Jane Doe 102. Jane Doe 102, who was represented by Bob Josephsberg's firm, Podhurst Orsak, had nothing to do with Rothstein, Rosenfeld, Adler. Do you know?
So she's, again, who? Can you spell it?
Common spelling. Like.
Can you spell it for me, please? How's it? What's the last name? How's it spelled?
I believe.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions that may be relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept this advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, I assert my constitutional rights as guaranteed by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
And just for the record, I can only spell it the way that it was spelled in your flight logs from your airplane. I don't know exactly how she spells her name, only how your pilot would spell her name.
Form.
So,
Speculation.
if I misspelled it, I'm sorry.
Form, speculation, argumentative, harassing.
That's harassing?
And assumes facts currently not in evidence in this particular deposition, and therefore moved to strike.
I was responding to his question asking me how to spell her name. I don't know how, other than his own pilot.
Mr. Edwards, he asked you to spell the name, you then spelled the name, and then you went on another narrative. There wasn't a question posed on the floor.
You would agree that you interacted with every day in a sexual way when she was 15 years old, right?
Again, sorry?
Sure, you would agree that you interacted with sexually on an everyday basis when she was 15 years old.
You know, again, Mr. Edwards, I'd like to answer all your questions here today. My attorneys have asked me, advised me that I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment rights provided by the U.S. Constitution. And the fact that the current U.S. Attorney has described your law firm as a criminal enterprise is one of the largest frauds in Florida's history for fabricating sexual cases of a sexual nature against me and others. Unfortunately, though I'd like to answer those questions, if I do, I risk losing my attorney's counsel. Therefore, I must assert my right.
All right, Madam Court Reporter, I'm going to attach as an exhibit the Jane Doe number 102 versus Jeffrey Epstein complaint at some point in time. It doesn't have to be done now, but it's going to be Exhibit 1 as I'm going to go through some of the facts as alleged in the complaint and as will be testified by by the plaintiff.
Counsel, do you have an extra copy of that for me?
No.
May I look at it real quick?
No. Would you agree that you, and it has my notes on it.
No, I understood. I saw.
But the notes are in highlighter, so when we copy it, it's not going to show up, and you can have a copy.
Understood. That's fine. Just for the record, that is a current operative pleading, correct?
Correct.
What does that mean?
It means that there may have been some amendments to a complaint. I want to make sure that that is the operative complaint at issue that he's speaking from today.
Is it true that...
Can I go off the record a second? What? May I ask you a question?
Sure. Can we take a break for a second?
Again?
He wants to speak with me for a second.
Going off the video record at 12:01 p.m. We're back in the video record at 12:02 p.m.
Is it true, Mr. Epstein, that you and Ghislaine Maxwell forced to have sex with you on a daily basis?
Form argumentative, harassing.
Unfortunately, at this time, though I'd really like to answer those questions, like I've done for most of your questions here today, Mr. Edwards, your firm was described as a criminal enterprise, a serious criminal enterprise by the current U.S. attorney. Part of that criminal enterprise was fabricating cases of sexual nature against me and others in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars. So though unfortunately at this time, no matter how I'd like to respond to your questions, I must assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, or risk having my attorneys resign.
Isn't it true that was yours and Ghislaine Maxwell's sex slave from the time she was 15 through the time she escaped when she was 19?
Again, objection, argumentative, harassing.
Mr. Edwards, your firm has been described as as a criminal enterprise by the current U.S. attorney and part of the largest fraud in Florida's history. Part of that fraud was fabricating multiple cases against people like me and others of a sexual nature in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions and millions of dollars. So though I'd like to answer that question, my attorneys have told me today I must assert my Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment, and Fifth Amendment right.
Isn't it true that you and Ghislaine Maxwell celebrated her 16th birthday with her and had sex with her on that day?
Form, compound, confusing, argumentative, and harassing.
Mr. Edwards, I'd like to answer that question. My attorneys told me today that I have to, at least today, assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights to the U.S. Constitution. Especially, my concern is that your firm has filed fraudulent lawsuits, fabricated lawsuits, and the U.S. attorney, the current U.S. attorney, has described your firm as a criminal enterprise whose main purpose was to generate money for the firm and its co-conspirators through the operation of various criminal activities, including mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering.
Are you saying that the complaint of against you, the allegations in that complaint, are false?
Form misinterprets the witness's testimony.
Or are you saying it's true?
Same objection.
It's either true or false.
What I said, maybe I'll repeat myself, unfortunately. But the current U.S. attorney has described your law firm was involved in the filing of motions. I'm sorry. You want to tell me what it was then? What would you like to tell me the firm's involvement in this lawsuit? Since this will be here the rest of the day.
Answer the question.
Oh, you're fine. The U.S. attorney has described that firm as a criminal enterprise perpetrating one of the largest frauds in Florida's history against unsuspecting investors, fleecing them out of millions of dollars by creating, crafting, and fabricating fallacious sexual claims against people like me and others. So unfortunately, though I'd like to answer your questions, Mr. Edwards, my counsel has advised me that at least today, I must assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
Isn't it true, sir, and I'm reading,
especially because your firm involved in this lawsuit has fabricated widely reported multiple cases of sexual harassment cases against individuals like me and others, perpetrating what the U.S. Attorney called one of the largest frauds in Florida's history, fleecing people out of millions of dollars. So though I'd like to answer that question, today I have to assert those rights or risk losing my attorney's counsel.
Is it true that you forced as a 15-year-old girl to have sex with numerous friends of yours?
Are you kidding?
Reading from her lawsuit.
Oh, you're reading from her lawsuit. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Evans. I'm going to have to, though I'd like to answer that question as well, as I answered most of your other questions here today. I would like to respond. My attorneys, however, have advised me I have to assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, especially as your firm has been accused by the U.S. Attorney as being a criminal enterprise and part of the largest fraud in Florida's history. Basically, I'm sorry if I read correctly, the operation of the enterprise through various criminal activities, including mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering, fabricating sexual harassment cases against people like me and others.
By the way,
yes,
didn't receive a round-trip ticket paid for by you to, and she ultimately did not get back on the plane, but instead escaped to
I'd like to answer that question. But today, I'm going to have to assert my Sixth Amendment rights, my Fifth Amendment rights, and my 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, especially since your firm has been described as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in Florida's history, fleecing investors out of millions of dollars, being described by the U.S. Attorney of South Florida as a criminal enterprise, engaged in various criminal activities, including mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering.
You know a man named Jean-Luc Brunel?
Can you spell it?
He was at your house last week. Does that remind you?
Form, move to strike, speculation, argumentative, harassing. Is there a question on the table, Mr.
Yes, do you know him?
Could you spell his name for me, please?
I don't need to spell his name. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Brunel.
I'm sorry, could you... Mr. what?
B-R-U-N-E-L.
I see. I would like to answer that question as well, but my attorneys have counseled me to that today. I'm going to have to assert my Sixth Amendment rights, my Fifth Amendment rights, and my 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, or risk losing my right to effective representation.
What's the purpose for you asking me to spell his name? Are you acting like you don't know him?
Form, move to strike, argumentative, and irrelevant as worded. Mr. Edwards, you know that there are various standing orders, if not in this case, in various other cases, that specifically describe the protections of the Fifth Amendment. Federal courts have ordered that certain questions that you are asking shall not be answered, or Mr. Epstein would risk losing his Fifth Amendment right.
No, I understand that.
Under the United
spell
States,
people's names.
Wait a second. Under the United States Constitution, a lot of these questions here today that you're asking have already been ruled on by various courts that the Fifth Amendment protects any response thereto. So I would like it. I'm giving you some leeway here with regard to these argumentative questions. We've already, and I'm not obviously testifying for the witness, but we've already handled a lot of these issues in court, and we've already adjourned one deposition for being argumentative, and I think you understand what the court said there. So, you know, having said that, and I understand that you have a job to do, but having said that, I would like to caution you professionally that if you continue with the argumentative questions, I am going to have to terminate this deposition, and then we'll just...
Do what you have to do, Mr. Pike. I completely understand.
Okay. We're here today...
Mr. Brunel is a...
I'm sorry, just go ahead. We're here, I want the court to know that we're here today to allow you to ask your questions, but the harassing and argumentative tone is not going to be tolerated. So
there's a video.
Proceed.
There's a video. We can show the court the tone. It's obviously not harassing. So,
that's fine.
Mr. Brunel is a longtime friend of yours, right?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions to this lawsuit. However, today, My attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions that may be relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation.
You know him as somebody who has been caught engaging in sex with underage minors in the past. Is that correct?
You'll have to repeat the question, sorry.
You know Mr. Brunel as somebody who has been caught engaging in sex with minors in the past. Is that correct?
Sure. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. As your firm has been described by the U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise and part of one of the largest frauds in Florida's history, it specifically said you've been fabricating, the law firm was fabricating multiple cases involving of a sexual nature in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars, including mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. So unfortunately, though I'd like to answer all your questions here today, I must assert my Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment, and Fifth Amendment right.
And you were involved in a modeling business with him called MC Squared. Is that correct?
Again?
You were involved in a modeling agency
what do you
with
mean
Mr. Brunel.
Sorry.
Called MC Squared.
Involved means what? Sorry. What do you mean?
You tell the jury your involvement with the modeling agency. You can clarify. I'll let you do that.
No. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
And when you were being criminally investigated and was in, is it true that you made a personal telephone call to her telling her not to come forward with any of the information she knew?
Again, sorry, this company.
When you were being, I'm putting a time frame on it, the time period where you were being criminally investigated.
What time frame is that?
In her complaint, it's not specific. But at some point, let's just make it whenever. At some point in time, did you place a telephone call to in Australia, warning her not to come forward with any information about you engaging in sex with her while she was a minor?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation.
With respect to underage females, isn't it true that you have made the statement, in quotes, the younger the better?
Again, as your firm has been described by the current U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise involved in mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and specifically crafting, fabricating multiple cases of a sexual nature against people like me and others in order to fleece many, many unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars, I would like to answer your questions here today, Mr. Edwards.
I can't believe this guy when I'm watching. Number one, I got to say free Mary. Let's see hashtag free Mary in the YouTube chat. I had my phone open. Like I said, I was watching it, walking up the stairs. I accidentally timed out one of our moderators on our YouTube. I've timed out people before, but I don't think I've ever, maybe once before, a moderator. I'm sorry, Mary. Free Mary in the chat, in the YouTube chat. Fucking guy. I had a good dinner. I ate quickly. I'm back. I can't believe this guy was asking them to spell out Brunel. Are you kidding me, dude? This guy is such a... How can he be that smug knowing what he did? Yeah, hashtag free Mary. Hashtag free Mary. I can't believe they don't let you untime people out either. That's frustrating. We need to petition YouTube. Sometimes people accidentally get timed out or it's a bad decision and we need to be able to untime them out. Crazy. I can't believe that. All right, I'm sorry for the Facebook people who don't know what's going on, who are watching. We accidentally timed one of our mods in the YouTube chat
But
out.
unfortunately, my attorneys have counseled me that I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right, or they will resign.
Who are your current employees?
Form. So again?
Who are your current employees? People who work for you that you pay.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions that may be relevant to this lawsuit or risk losing my 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, therefore, I must assert my 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights as provided by the U.S. Constitution.
Isn't it true that you pay your employees to bring you underage minor females for sex?
Form argumentative speculation, correct.
Mr. Edwards, your firm has been described by the current U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise. A criminal enterprise. Part of the largest fraud in South Florida's history. Part of that fraud was fabricating fictitious cases against against people like me of a sexual nature in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars. Unfortunately, at this time, though I'd like to answer every one of your questions, my attorneys advise me that I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment rights or risk losing them as my attorneys.
Isn't it true when underage females were brought to you, you would engage in sex with them and pay them?
Form, argumentative, harassing.
Are you shaking your head to say no?
Excuse me?
Are you shaking your head to say no? I don't know how to interpret the answer.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was shaking my head.
Okay.
One second.
I thought he was actually answering a question.
Move to strike. The rules are well known to every lawyer who practices in the state of Florida that it's clear that a nod of the head or a shake of the head is not understood by the record. So therefore, Mr. Epstein clearly was not responding to one of your questions, and you know that, Mr. Edwards.
This is on video, Mike.
Nonetheless, you know the rules. Nonetheless, if we have a question on the table, would you please repeat it so I can recall it and so Mr. Epstein can endeavor to answer it?
Sure, and if it was only a court reporter, I would agree, but the jury's going to see a video, and everybody knows commonly, if somebody shakes their head, they're saying no. If that was the answer, I wanted to give them a chance to elaborate on it. That's it. Isn't it true that when underage females would come to your house, you would engage in sexual activity with them and then pay them?
Same objections.
Unfortunately, I'd like to answer that question today, but my attorneys have counseled me that I must assert my 6th Amendment right, my 5th Amendment right, and my 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution. The fact that your firm has been described as a criminal enterprise and part of one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history, part of that fraud has been described as fabricating cases of a sexual nature against me and others in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars. I would like to answer that question, Mr. Edwards. But however, today, I must assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment right.
In addition to paying these underage females for sexual activity, you also paid them to bring their underage friends to you to also engage in sexual activity with.
Form.
Is that correct?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this.
Something fancy tonight. I was going to cook, but I decided to do a show. So I had some hummus, some bread and hummus, which I love, and then I had some nachos. I made myself some nachos. Nothing, no big meal tonight. Eating light.
Lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I may not. and I must assert, they have advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment right, my 5th Amendment right, and my 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
You would pay underage females $200 to $300 for engaging in sexual activity with you, or for procuring another underage female to engage in sexual activity with. Is that correct?
Form, move to strike, assumes facts not in evidence, and calls for a legal conclusion, and is as well argumentative.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions that may be relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, therefore, I must assert my constitutional rights as guaranteed by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Would you agree that your scheme was devised to coerce these underage minors to bring you as many other underage minors as were available for you to engage in sexual activity with?
Form.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Repeat the question.
Would you
I'm not going to
agree
answer.
that your scheme was devised to coerce underage girls into bringing as many other underage girls to you as were available for sexual purposes?
Form.
Did you say for sexual purposes?
Yes, for sexual purposes.
I'm not surprised. Sorry. Since your firm was described as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in Florida's history by crafting fabricated sexual harassment cases against people like me and others in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars, I would like to answer that question. However, today, my attorneys have advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution, and if I don't do so, I risk losing effective representation.
Utilizing this method of using underage minors to bring you other underage minors, you were able to engage in sex with hundreds of underage minor females. Is that true?
Form, argumentative, harassing, calls for speculation.
Since, Mr. Edwards, your firm has been described as a criminal enterprise by the U.S. Attorney, and as part of the largest fraud in South Florida's history, and as part of the fraud fabricating malicious cases of sexual harassment and other cases of sexual nature against people like me and others, though I'd like to answer that question today, my attorneys have advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment rights of the U.S. Constitution. Though I believe you know I'd really like to answer your questions, but at this moment, if I don't assert those rights, I risk having my attorneys resign.
Isn't it true that with this method, you were able to interact sexually with underage girls every single day?
Form, asked and answered. Same as well.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you repeat it?
Sure. With this method of
This
using...
method being what? Sorry?
Your method of using underage minors to bring you other underage minors for sex, isn't it true that that method resulted in you engaging in sexual activity with underage minors on an everyday basis?
Same objections.
Your firm has been described...
Get hungry again. Beef and broccoli. Oh, my God. Maybe I should go order some Chinese right now. 8:30 at night. Man, I could do some beef
by
and
the
broccoli.
current U.S. Attorney as a criminal enterprise engaged in one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history, and as part of that fraud, creating, fabricating malicious cases of sexual nature against people like me and others. So unfortunately, though I'd like to answer that question today, I must assert my 6th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 5th Amendment rights that my counsels advised me to do. Though I believe you know I'd really like to answer those questions today, I must assert those rights or risk losing my attorney's representation.
To keep track of all of these underage minors, you stored their names and telephone numbers in your home computer. Isn't that correct?
Form argumentative speculation.
Again? Sorry.
Are you going to answer the question or just read? If you are going to answer the question, of course, I'll keep reading it as many times.
Wait 1 second. The witness is attempting to answer your question. He asked you to repeat the question.
He is?
He asked you to repeat the question.
And I don't mind going through that, Mike, because I do want answers. But if I'm going to repeat the question multiple times and still get the same answer, we're just wasting time. I'm just trying to stop us from wasting time repeating questions if I'm getting the same non-responsive answer.
State the obvious to this guy, because this guy's just playing games with him. He heard the question. How many times has he asked, can you repeat the question? Can you spell the name out? It's like such a waste of time. What a jackass.
I understand your intention here.
Yeah.
However, these questions are similar in nature, if not identical, to various questions that you've asked in other cases. So you coming here today is of no surprise that Mr. Epstein is required to invoke his 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights underneath the United States Constitution.
I understand that.
If you came here today thinking that you were going to pull a rabbit out of a hat and get, waive Mr. Epstein was going to waive his 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights to the United States Constitution, at least not today. That will not be occurring.
Isn't it true that to keep track of the names and phone numbers of these underage minor females you interacted with sexually, you stored those names and phone numbers in your home computer?
Thank you. And I've heard the question now. So it doesn't surprise, again, I've now heard your question, and the fact that your firm has been described as a criminal enterprise by the current U.S. attorney in South Florida, and part of one of the largest frauds in Florida's history. It is reported that your firm fabricated malicious cases of a sexual nature against people and against me in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions of dollars. Unfortunately, though, I'd like to answer each one of your questions today, Mr. Edwards. My attorneys have advised me that I must assert my 6th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. So though I'd like to answer, I must assert those rights or risk having my attorneys, resign.
Do you know?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, must accept their advice, or risk losing my 6th Amendment right to effective representation.
Is it true that you employed to contact underage minor females and make them appointments to be at your house?
Sorry, again.
Isn't it true that you employed for the purposes of contacting underage minor females and scheduling them appointments to be at your house?
The current U.S. attorney has described your law firm, Mr. Edwards, as a criminal enterprise engaged in one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history. It has been reported that your firm fabricated multiple cases of a sexual nature against me and others in order to fleece unsuspecting investors out of millions and millions of dollars. So though, unfortunately, I'd like to answer every one of your questions today, my attorneys have counseled me that today I must assert my 6th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. Though I believe you know I'd like to answer those questions, but today, at this moment, I must assert those rights or risk having my attorneys resign.
Tell the jury how you know.
Form. Move to strike.
Move to strike my question? On what basis?
Do I have to state a basis? Usually I'm just required to state form.
Done more than that today.
If I went on a diatribe of explaining, what's confusing, compound, irrelevant, then you would blame me for testifying for the witness. So I just moved to straighten the question.
Make sure we mark that somewhere on this transcript, somehow. Tell the jury how you know.
Move to strike.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit and must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, I assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution.
Isn't it true that you brought her to this country when she was underage and made her your sex slave, and you have bragged about this?
Form, argumentative, compound, harassing, and calls for speculation.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept this advice and risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. However, I'd like, so I'm clear, the question was, did I bring her here to the, so we're clear. What was specifically what you did?
Your answer's fine.
Okay.
Is it true that you demanded numerous underage minor females to have sex with inside your home while you watched masturbating?
Same objections.
Okay.
You have to repeat the question, it's unclear.
Isn't it true that you have ordered several underage minor females to have sex with in your home while you watched masturbating?
Objections.
The current U.S. Attorney has described your firm, Mr. Edwards, as a criminal enterprise involved in mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and in fact fabricating multiple cases of a sexual nature against me, others, in order to fleece unsuspecting investors in South Florida out of millions and millions of dollars. Unfortunately, though, I'd like to answer each one of your questions here today. My attorneys have advised me that I must assert my Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment, and Fifth Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution. Though I believe you know that I'd like to answer your questions, but at this moment I must assert those rights or risk having my attorneys resign.
Is it true that with each of these underage minor females that was brought to your house, your method of sexually exploiting them was nearly identical? Is that correct?
Objection. Argumentative, confusing, overbroad, and vague.
I don't understand. I don't even understand the question.
Okay. Well, when a 14 or 15-year-old would be led into your bedroom, you would appear from the shower first, usually naked. Is that correct?
Objection. Argumentative, assumes facts not in evidence, and harassing.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, today, my attorneys have advised me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit and must accept their advice at risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. Accordingly, therefore, I must assert my constitutional rights against the Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
Can we go off the record for a second?
If it's necessary.
Yeah, well, let's go off the record.
You want to take a break or something?
Video record at 12.
She needs an agreement from you to go off the record. I learned that.
We're back in the video record at 12:44 p.m.
Can you tell me what my last question is, or is that... It's okay. I can pick up. Don't worry about it.
I can tell you too.
Okay.
Hopefully this is my big.
All right.
Okay, when a 14 or 15-year-old would be led into your bedroom, you would appear from the shower first, usually naked. Is that correct? Not your objections.
Okay.
Thank you.
And after appearing from the shower naked, you would order the underage minor female to disrobe. Isn't that true?
Same objections. Form.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit and must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation. Excuse me.
You would then order them order her to begin providing you a massage. Is that correct?
Form. Excuse me. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit, and I'd like to answer each and every one of your questions today, Mr. Edmonds. However, my attorneys have told me that I cannot do that today. I must assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, or risk losing my counsel. Therefore, I'm going to assert those rights as guaranteed by the Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment.
You would then roll over and begin masturbating. Is that correct?
Form. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. It's my understanding that the current U.S. Attorney has described your law firm as a criminal enterprise. Yours and Mr. Jaffe's firm is a criminal enterprise and part of the largest fraud in Florida's history. Excuse me. Fabricating malicious cases of a sexual nature against me and others in order to fleece investors out of millions of dollars.
Same shit over and over
through
again
bogus schemes, including conspiracy to commit mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. So though I'd like to answer each and every one of your questions here today, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot and must assert my Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
You would then rub the underage minor female's vagina or insert your fingers into her vagina. Is that correct?
Form. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. Unfortunately, today, my attorneys have advised me I cannot and must assert my rights under the U.S. Constitution under the Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, especially since your firm has been described as a criminal enterprise by the current U.S. Attorney, perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history, fleecing investors out of millions of dollars by fabricating malicious cases of a sexual nature against people like me and others.
And with many of these underage minors, you would use vibrators on them. Is that correct?
Form. I would like to respond to that question, as I'd like to respond to all your other questions today. However, my attorneys have counseled me, excuse me, that I must assert my Sixth Amendment rights, my Fifth Amendment rights, and my 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
And with many of these underage minors, you would give and or receive oral sex from them. Is that correct?
Form. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit, and I'd like to answer each and every one of your questions. However, my attorneys have counseled me that today I must assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, especially since your firm has been described by the current U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in Florida's history by fabricating malicious cases of a sexual nature against me and others.
In June of 2008, you pled guilty to a couple felonies, right?
Form. Vague and confusing.
Again,
in June of 2008, you pled guilty to 2 felonies. Is that correct?
Same objection.
Yes.
And what were those felonies that you pled guilty to?
Solicitation of prostitutes. Not underage prostitutes, but simply prostitutes. Solicitation of prostitutes, and 1 count of procuring a minor for underage sex.
And you've taken the fifth as to questions related to many of these underage minors, but the underage minors that were the victims in the cases where you pled guilty were, was that one of them?
Form mischaracterizes the witness's testimony, causes for a legal conclusion.
Again? What was the name of any of the underage minors that were the subject of the criminal charges to which you pled guilty?
I don't know.
So tell me about those charges. What was the allegations of those charges?
Form.
Solicitation of prostitution.
Okay.
Not underage prostitution, prostitution.
Were the victims or the prostitutes, as you would say, were they minors?
Form.
I pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution.
Okay, so tell me what those cases were about. What happened?
I have no more. I can't tell you any more than that.
You don't know what you pled guilty to?
I just told
I'm
you.
going to object to form. That's asked and answered.
Do you know what you pled guilty to? The facts.
Solicitation of prostitution.
I understand that's the charge. What were the underlying facts?
Sorry.
What did you do? Did you pull up in a car, talk to the person? Did they come over to your house? How did you get them? Those kind of things. Tell the jury what were the underlying facts about the charge that you pled guilty to?
Form, move to strike.
I don't know.
You don't know what you pled guilty to?
I pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution. Oh, not underage prostitution, but prostitution.
Okay. My understanding from reading the court file is that one of those females was. Do you know who that is?
I intend to respond to all relevant questions to this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any of these questions today. So accordingly, I must assert my constitutional rights under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
You're aware that is somebody that alleges she was at your house on more than 100 occasions. Is that true?
Form.
Can you repeat the question, sorry?
Are you aware that is a female that alleges that when she was underage, she was at your house on more than 100 occasions?
Form. Predicate.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions to this lawsuit, Mr. Edwards. However, today, my attorneys have counseled me that I must respond by invoking my 5th Amendment right, my 6th Amendment right, and my 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. So, unless I risk losing them as my attorneys. Excuse me. So therefore, I must assert those rights.
And you understand that her complaint was that Epstein turned onto her stomach on the massage bed and inserted his penis into her vagina. Stated Epstein began to pump his penis in her vagina and she became upset over this. She said her...
Yeah, it's snowing here on the North Shore again. We've had a lot of snow. When I went to Boston, I noticed it wasn't as much snow. We've gotten hit hard. It's snowing here again. I don't know if my roof can handle it anymore. This is bad, all the snow.
Head was being held against the bed forcibly as he continued to pump inside her while she screamed no. Are you aware of those allegations?
Form. Predicate.
I'm sorry, did you say there was a complaint?
It's in the incident report that led to a charging document that led to a charge that you have pled guilty to. Are you aware of that information coming from...
I'm sorry, Mr. Edwards. What are you reading from?
The 87-page Palm Beach Police Department incident report where there are numerous underage females describing their interaction with Mr. Epstein at his house. I'm reading specifically from page 41 related to was one of the victims pled guilty to.
Is that the same document that you're seeking production of in this same exact case?
I don't know what you're talking about. This is something from the state attorney's file.
Okay. Sorry, what's the question?
Are you aware of that allegation? What I just read to you?
I'd like to answer that question. But however, today my attorneys have advised me I must assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
Assuming your attorneys have advised you that because of res judicata, double jeopardy, you cannot be charged for any crimes that you have already pled guilty to related to. So I'd like you to just explain to the jury, in your words, or your version of the story, what was your interaction with at your house when she was a minor?
Object to form, as worded, could disclose attorney-client communications.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. I'd like to answer each one of your questions today. However, my attorneys have counseled me that I may not. They've advised me that I must assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, if I don't, I risk losing their counsel. So therefore, I must assert those rights here today, Mr. Edwards.
Are you aware that advised police that she was ripped and torn in her vagina area and had difficulty walking to the car after this episode where you forcibly inserted your penis into her vagina?
Objection, relevance, argumentative, compound, harassment.
The question was,
this was who?
Question was, are you aware?
Alexander Paul. The current U.S. Attorney, since he's described your firm as a criminal enterprise and part of one of the largest frauds in Florida's history by fabricating malicious cases of a sexual nature against people like me and others, and fleecing investors out of millions of dollars by using means described in the complaint against your firm, including mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering. I'm afraid today, though I'd like to answer each one of your questions, my attorneys have counseled me that I must assert my Sixth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. And though I believe you know I'd like to answer those questions, I must assert those rights or risk losing my attorney's representation.
Do you know?
Spell it for me, please.
I don't know how to spell her name, but do you know? I don't know that she ever would have spelled her name for you.
Form, name is strike.
I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I may not provide answers today, though I'd like to. And I must, in fact, take their advice or risk losing their representation. So therefore, I must assert those rights under the U.S. Constitution.
Do you know the names of any of the females that you allegedly solicited for prostitution and pled guilty to?
Relevance.
Sitting here today, no, I do not.
You asked me to spell his name. That's somebody that your attorneys took her deposition about a year and a half ago. Does that help to refresh your recollection?
I'd like to answer that question, but today, according to my attorneys, I must assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. I must accept their advice or risk losing my Sixth Amendment right to effective representation, Mr. Edwards. So though I'd like to answer the question, today I must assert those rights.
There's another victim. Her name is that was listed as one of the females at your house that you pled guilty to the solicitation of. And I'd like to ask you if you remember her.
Form, confusing, compound.
I don't know her first name. It's initials, last name.
Redacted.
Same objection. I intend to respond to all relevant questions regarding this lawsuit. However, at the present time, my attorneys have counseled me that I cannot provide answers to any questions relevant to this lawsuit, and I must accept their advice or risk losing my right to effective representation. Therefore, though I'd like to answer the questions, I must assert those rights today.
With each case that results in a charge as
Is this some water? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We're stopping again?
No, can I get some water?
Almost done. We're almost
You
done.
don't have to stop. Mr. Jeffrey, could you pass some water?
Is there water? There's no water.
Oh, sorry. I'll go.
With each conviction, charge, or with each charge that leads to a conviction, there are facts and circumstances that lead up to that plea of guilty. What are the facts and circumstances that led to you pleading guilty to the two felonies that you described?
Form, overbroad, compound, confusing, calls for a legal conclusion.
I'd like to respond to that question. But today, my attorneys have advised me I must assert my Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights to the U.S. Constitution, or risk losing effective representation. Accordingly, I must assert my constitutional rights as guaranteed by the Constitution.
Just so we're clear, because your attorney made an objection that it was unclear, and then you invoked your Fifth Amendment rights.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the cases where you've already pled guilty. You can't be charged again. What were the facts and circumstances that led up to you pleading guilty to these felonies?
I've answered the question, I think, but...
Same objection, ask and answer.
Okay. And just so the jury understands, these three females that were the subject of the guilty pleas in state court were procured by your method of having underage minor females locate other underage minor females and bring them to your house. Isn't that correct?
Objection, argumentative, compound, harassing, assumes facts not in evidence.
You'll have to
and I move to strike.
I have to repeat the question.
Okay. Are all people that were, at the time you engaged in sexual activity with them, were underage and were brought by other underage minor females? Is that true?
Same objections incorporated. As well as the motion to strike.
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't even understand the question.
Isn't it true that you used underage minor females to bring other underage minor females to your house for sex?
Ask and answer. Way earlier on.
Oh, well, he doesn't understand the question, so I'm going through the progression.
Not a problem.
But it is ask and answer.
As your firm, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jaffe, has been described by the U.S. Attorney as perpetrating one of the largest frauds in South Florida's history by crafting malicious cases of a sexual nature against people like me and others in order to fleece, using bogus schemes, in the U.S. Attorney's words, investment schemes. Unfortunately, though, I'd like to answer every one of your questions if I'm able. My attorneys have advised me I must assert my Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment, and Fifth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, at the moment, I cannot answer that question.
The acts related to your guilty plea occurred at your Palm Beach house. Is that correct?
Form.
Again, sorry.
Well, if you were soliciting prostitutes, it wasn't out on the street, it wasn't in a hotel. These were girls that you solicited to be prostitutes at your house in Palm Beach, correct?
Objection, relevance, argumentative. Calls for speculation as worded and assumes facts not in evidence.
Though I'd like to answer that question, my attorneys today have advised me I cannot answer it today and they've advised me I must assert my 6th Amendment, 5th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
Over 600 times he did this. We're down to the last minute of him. We only have to deal with him for one more minute. 600 times he said no.
Constitution. Otherwise, I risk losing their representation. So accordingly, I must assert those rights, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jaffe.
In what county did you plead guilty to these felony offenses?
Palm Beach County.
So these were crimes that occurred here in Palm Beach County?
Form.
Is that correct?
I pled guilty in Palm Beach County.
This part you could see very much upsets him. His well-to-do Palm Beach County. Actually, we get a couple more seconds here.
Isn't it true that you kept a calendar or schedule? Okay, change.
Going off the video record at 1:05.
Look at him. Wow.
And by the early 1990s.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Did you see that picture of Ghislaine was flashed up on there for another video? Maybe we'll have to check out some of those videos, all the pictures. Holy shit. That was crazy. I'm glad we watched that. We suffered through it. Just to see how bad it was. We do have the Give, Send, Go pinned in the chat if you want to help my legal defense. I want to thank a big donor that recently came in. $500 came in from a supporter recently in the last 8 days. I want to thank them for giving me that great donation. They know who they are. Very much appreciated. Let me just share this because we were talking about it earlier. And who knows, tomorrow, I have a feeling tomorrow could be the day that we find out what's going on with this Annie Guthrie situation. Because they're bringing in all the tactical teams, which they generally don't do unless something's imminent, basically about to happen. Shit's about to go down. They're bringing all this SWAT and TAC teams in. That indicates they might be done with their investigation. Maybe they're about to arrest somebody. New video came out. Here's the video. So we have it full right on the screen. Let me just move it down a little bit. Can we move it down? Is that better or worse? That's better. Okay. Let me replay that a couple times. Can we replay it? Come on. I'll do this. I'll do the old refresh. This is outside of Nancy Guthrie's house. I can't believe it took them, what has it been, 8 days to get this video out, to find this video and post it to the public. Sucks it took that long. Look at them reaching into the bushes. They seem like an amateur, whoever this is. It seems like amateur hour. Amateur hour over there. You get some new reports. Number one report. If anyone has any information, you're urged to call 1-800-CALL-FBI or 520-351-4900. Pima County Sheriff's Department is asking people, not the press, whoever's there at the scene, don't order food. Don't order delivery pizza to the address. They don't want media on the scene. They're requesting the media on the scene to stop ordering food delivery. Uber Eats, stop ordering Uber Eats to the crime scene. as it interferes with the active investigation. There's also reports right now that the Bitcoin wallet, there was some movement, like $300 in there moving around. It's come from TMZ and some other places have reported that. Could be law enforcement. I wonder if law enforcement threw $300 in there to see if they could trace who might move it. That's what I suggested they do for the very beginning. I'm with Billy Bush on that. Billy Bush said law enforcement should cover the ransom. I agree. Maybe not even all of the ransom, but just throw them a bone. Throw them a bone to see if that money moves around, and maybe you trace it back to the account, the real person, because they got to withdraw it eventually, right? So maybe the FBI sent them $300. I don't know. Some people are saying it's a bot. It's just something when they do updates in wallets that it might not be a real $300. So be interesting to see if that movement has anything to do with the law enforcement or even the perpetrators of this whole thing. But at this point, we definitely know it's a kidnapping. That video came out. There's not even a question. Before, it was like, well, she could have disappeared. She could have walked away. This is legitimately a kidnapping. We know it now. For what reason? Who knows? But this is wild. And I still think it's probably an inside job. A lot of people are pointing to the son-in-law. And they're also pointing out the son-in-law used to be in a band with this other guy who's got a criminal record for robbery, breaking and entering. Who the heck knows? This is just, it's a whodunit. I have a feeling tomorrow we might get some news on it. I'll be watching it tomorrow. Definitely check back. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, make sure you hit that sub button. And if you're on like YouTube, make sure you hit all notifications. You want to get every notification from us. Check in tomorrow with us. I'm sure during the day sometime I'll be streaming something. And probably, I have a feeling something's going to happen in Pima County. I'll be keeping an eye on it all day. I want to thank the people who gave me super chats tonight. Kenna sent $20 on YouTube. I also want to thank the Venmo folks again. Mary Malarkey, free Mary Malarkey. I can't believe I did this tonight. God damn. Free Mary. Hashtag free Mary before you leave, please. We need to petition YouTube, Google, because this is not kosher where I screw up. Sometimes I'm watching the chat and I'm walking with my phone. I hit the friggin' button. That's what I did at poor Mary tonight. And this was after Mary gave us a donation. After she gave me a friggin' donation tonight. Oh. Mary said she's fine. She said she's enjoying the Timeout bar. I guess they serve very good margaritas over there. So it sucks too because she's going to be gone all day tomorrow. Like if I'm streaming Pima County, I like Mary there. This is frustrating. Very frustrating. Yeah, free Mary. We need to do an online petition or something. Yes, and thank you to everyone who's donated. I want to thank Shannon tonight, gave a donation. I also want to thank Tammy, who recently gave a donation. And like I said, we also had a donation come in. Oh, and you know what? Nan recently gave a donation too. I love Nan. When Nan just throws down. It was one of those private ones too. And Suzanne, another one who gave a donation. Thank you so much to all the donors. And again, Mary made a donation as well on the Cash App. So thank you to everybody who's been donating, especially helping me with my legal fees. Yeah, free Mary. I know, right? And that's the thing. There was nobody to hide. There was no one to moderate. It was just such a chill night. Just us hanging out. Just watching some Epsteins, watching some vile shit. And I freaking time out Mary. There was nobody to time out tonight. It was like the most peaceful night. We've purged ourselves of all the trolls and the drama content. Less viewers, but you know what? It's better. I'd rather do this than Like let JFK do the heavy work, what he likes to do. JFK's making the money. I was watching JFK today. That dude, it used to be making money Mike, now it's making money JFK. And I loved how he pointed out that the Galera, that dude's making tons of bank too on the drama. He does nothing but drama. What is he covering? It's just hilarious. The guy's getting rich on covering YouTube drama. It's just unbelievable that people, they reward it. It's kind of sick. Like, we're over here doing real serious stuff, covering local news, covering national news. And he's over there just going after people, and people reward it and they love it. I mean, I could do that same thing. We did a few drama shows. Numbers went right back up, didn't they? But that's not the way I want to live. It's not contributing. Yeah, I like the drama free. I like having less people here too, actually. They're all like, you lost all your subs. There's nobody. I'm happy. I like who's here. I'm just bummed Mary's not here. It's the only thing. Yet I'm feeling handsome. And if this case gets dismissed, I'm going to be so happy. That's the only real stress on me right now. The eye operation next Tuesday and this lawsuit. And hopefully, keep your fingers crossed for me. Keep your fingers crossed for me. I know Jerry. It's so funny. I was talking about Jerry, right? Was it last night? And then everyone's like, Jerry on JFK show, because that was wild. That was friggin' wild. JFK was Jerry Springer last night. Like, and I'm not shitting on his show at all. I love JFK. I watched him today. I watched a little last night. I watch almost every JFK show. I'm there. I love JFK. But that lady they brought up, and then the other side's like, oh, she's good for us. It's like, what? Are you shitting me? That lady that just asked for money from, are you kidding me? Dude had to pay her to come on. If you have to pay someone to stick up for you, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to pay somebody that knows you to stick up for you. That's not a good sign. Yeah, I know. That's when I started watching Sarah. I had no idea what was going on. When you said that, I started watching it. I was like, holy shit, what is going on here? But I got to say, JFK, I think they've handled it well. I do. And they've had a lot of threats of the lawsuits and all that shit. We'll see what happens. I don't think anything's going to happen there. I really don't. I like the stress-free life, you know? I don't want to be so involved in things. It is hard on JFK, so give him some love. That's what's good about people giving donations. It makes it worth it. All right, so I'm going to head out. I'm done for the night. I did what I needed to do today. I did a stream. Yeah, free Mary Malaki. I love that last name. Mary Malaki. Remember when Joe Biden said, don't give me your Malaki. Mary Malaki. Free Mary. God damn YouTube. No, Charlie's upstairs. He wanted to come down. He was begging, but he got sick earlier. I don't know what happened. He ate dinner, and then all of a sudden he's throwing it all up. And I don't know if it's because I took him out and he ate some snow. He loves to eat the snow. I try to stop it. I don't know if he ate some snow and it made him sick, but I just decided to let him stay upstairs. I didn't want him, because when he's down here, this room is more of a mess, honestly. It's more of like a storage area. It's really a third bedroom that is also like an office, and we turned it into a studio. So there's a lot of things in storage here in this room, so he gets into things if I let him out. And if I put him in the kennel, all he does is cry for treats. So I just couldn't let him be down here tonight, especially when he's sick. Yeah, he's trouble. He's getting older too, so I get very worried about him. It's my baby. That's why we never travel. We have a wedding to go to in Vermont in August. And I'm like, what are we going to do about Charlie? I love that boy. He has changed so much. He used to be such a very aloof dog. And now he literally, if I'll go upstairs right now, he's going to be sitting in my spot. He's going to be waiting for me. And when I go to lay down on the couch, he's going to jump up on my chest. He would have never, ever done that like the first 5 years we owned him. I could never pick him up. If I even tried to pick him up, he would be like, and bite me. Now he's just jumps up. Loves it. Environment means a lot. You get a better environment, dog's behavior. He has so much trust in us now. Yeah, so I wanted to he's got his dog bed up there. Mama's up there. I just wanted to chill upstairs, not get into stuff. But again, free Mary. Mary's timed out for 24 hours. I can't believe it was the 24-hour one, too. It's like, why couldn't it have been like 30 minutes or something, or an hour? She got timed out for the whole 24. God damn. So I wonder how quickly tonight is YouTube going to whack us for the music, or is it going to be the content? Definitely going to be the music. I could always erase the music after, so we keep the ads, but it's the monetization. But I guarantee the content tonight, they're gonna give us the whack from YouTube. So that's why I appreciate all the donations tonight, especially. Yes, free Mary. Poor Mary. Poor me. I feel like an idiot now. You know? Mary's just laughing her ass off at how ridiculous I am. Like Sarah said, she's surprised I never done it to her. She's seen me. I've done it before to other people by accident too. Especially when I'm walking dogs, I'll be watching the stream. I'd like to see the chat. I could shut the chat down and just watch the video, but I like to see what you guys are saying, you know? And I'm a mess. You see me with the mute buttons. It's not me being mean, it's just me being a klutz. They used to, I don't know if they still do, but they gave Nurse Kim a lot of trouble too for StreamYard, like mute button. We have that in common. Nurse Kim and I have that. I don't know if she's gotten better at it, but we definitely have that in common. Not the best at the tech all the time. We got clumsy fingers. We forget to unmute ourselves. Every time I start a show, there's a screw up right from the beginning. Back in the day when I used to do internet radio, and even now when I'm on Howie Car Radio, I have someone else to blame. They're the producers. They run everything. Not that I would ever do it at Howie Radio. Never. Those guys are so good. But when I did internet radio, there'd be a lot of screw ups. You know, especially you're not dealing with like the top professionals like at Howie Car Radio. Internet radio, you never know who you get. And I used to always have someone to yell at. It was fun. It was like, and I had this producer who was actually really good. He was my best one for all the time that I did internet radio. Was named Herbie. Herbie's a great guy. He's a Boston resident. He still watches sometimes. He's a great guy, but I used to give him so much shit. It would be like a bit, and the reason I love to do it is because he would just laugh. He knew it was my thing. He would never get mad. He would never take it personally. And he would do other shows, and he'd tell me, like, Mike, I know yours is a bit. Like, these other shows really get mad at me. You don't even understand. You're nothing compared to them. But it was fun. I used to be able to blame it on the producer. Now I'm the producer. Now I'm the idiot. I'm sorry, Mary Malaki. And anyone else I might time out in the future accidentally. That's the thing. I never lose my keys. I never lose my wallet. I never lose my cell phone, unlike Michael Proctor. Those are the things that are important. I always hold on to those, but I might hit the wrong button. I might actually butt dial you. I have butt dialed people before, but not like 3 times in a row. Only once. I could butt dial you. I could text the wrong person. I've even done shit where, like, I think I'm texting someone and I'm writing in a YouTube chat. Like, what the? I'm doing like 15 things at once. I'm in my head. I don't know. Have we found out more about Guthrie? We talked about some of it. Did something else just happen now? Did something new happen? That's what, if you see me looking at the phone all night, that's what I was just checking it. I was like, is anything, I just have a feeling. Oh, wait, is that 2 hours ago? What's going on here? That's someone else. Yeah, we talked about the Bitcoin activity. Oh, listen to this. People are speculating the $300 Bitcoin activity in the kidnapper's account was 100% the FBI sending it to track and trace. Shit is about to go down, only a matter of time. That was a Twitter post from somebody. I'm not going to say who it is, but there's a lot of speculation about that Bitcoin movement. And also what I'm hearing is the SWAT teams are moving in. And that indicates they're about to arrest somebody to me. Pima County, again, Sheriff's Department. We can't believe we have to say this, but media on scene. Please do not order food delivery to a crime scene address. This interferes with an active investigation. Please also respect private property laws. Thank you. You know what, Pima County Sheriff's Office? You know what you could do is do a friggin' press conference. I know you don't have much to say, but maybe if you did a press conference and said that, you get more people focusing, and maybe you get the media away from the crime scene. You know, have them go to your sheriff's office. I can't believe that Pima County hasn't done a press update since last week. But I have a feeling. I have a feeling either tonight or tomorrow. That's why I keep looking at the phone. I keep looking at the phone and saying, is there anything happening? Is there anything new yet? Yeah, there's rumors right now that I'm just checking in on Surviving the Survivor podcast, actually. Joel, and he's got a pinned comment that says, breaking, a law enforcement source tells me they have one person in custody but have not found Nancy Guthrie. That's from a Michael Ruiz. I don't know who the heck that is. I'm going to look more on Twitter. Maybe we won't shut down. If something's going off right now, and again, if something goes on tonight after I shut down, I could come back. I'm just doing a quick search. I just want to see if, because I have a feeling. I've been watching it all day, actually. And I'm just like, I have a feeling something's about to happen. Yeah, apparently a delivery man was given Nancy Guthrie's address, so he just walked right up to the house, made it right to the front door. Is another Twitter post from Esty, actually, today. She's commenting on this. People know Esty. I mean, can you imagine that? The media, these fools, are ordering delivery food to Nancy Guthrie's house. And the delivery guys don't know that it's, the media. They just show up and knock on the door. Unbelievable. I very much doubt she's alive, and I think the family mostly knows that too. If you listen to some of the most recent statements from Savannah, it seemed like they were almost asking for, like, we'll pay for the return of the body even. God damn. I feel bad for that family. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. It doesn't look like anything's happening though. Looks like no news. I'm just doing a quick search before we leave tonight, just to make sure that we haven't missed anything. Oh, wait. They're searching a neighbor's backyard, apparently, too. Another report. Oh, here we go. We have something. ABC News. Person detained for questioning in connection with Nancy Guthrie abduction. Wow, something did happen here. Let me just stop it so we can get all right. This is from ABC News right now. The Pima County Sheriff's Department, with assistance from the FBI, has detained an individual for questioning in connection with the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, a law enforcement official briefed on the investigation told ABC News. The individual was detained in a location south of Tucson, the source said, and law enforcement is preparing to search a location associated with the individual. The developments followed the first images released of a masked man approaching Nancy Guthrie's front door, and as investigators continue to search for her in her neighborhood. Holy shit. Yuba County's got to do a press conference. Hopefully it's tomorrow. Either later tonight or tomorrow. I'll be looking for it. As soon as I hear anything, I will be live. So make sure you hit the likes and the follows and subscribe. Make sure you hit all notifications because we'll be live as soon as there's any type of press conference, any type of movement on this. And again, this is questioning. Doesn't mean they're arresting anybody. It just means they're forcing someone to speak to them. Could be that brother-in-law's bandmate. I think he's from the Tucson area. God damn. Yeah, make sure you hit the alerts button. Make sure you subscribe too. And free Mary Malaki. Free Mary. Oh, I hear my plow guy. The earth is shaking behind me. My plow guy is here. He's here early. Wow. This is pretty wild, folks. I'm going to do another quick search, see if anything else comes up. Oh, there it is. Look at this. There it is from ABC News on Twitter. Breaking, the Pima County Sheriff Department, with assistance from the FBI, has detained an individual for questioning in connection with the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. Is the story here? Let me shut this down. I don't want to get copyright striked. Here's the story from ABC, though. What's that, like the 5th copyright strike against us tonight? Oh, actually, I didn't go to their website. Cool, it's still on Twitter. Oh, I'm safe. Oh, I thought it followed me through to ABC where they threw the video on. Yes, I am fired as a mod. Free Mary. Free Mary. We might have to do a protest of Google headquarters or outside of my front door. It's either we protest Google or we protest Mike Crawford. I don't know which one. Who do you blame? Do you blame Google, YouTube for this? Google YouTube for this, or do you blame me for this? For the banning, for the timeout of Mary? I want to know. Who do you blame? All right, I'm gonna do another search, see if we find anything else tonight. This is wild stuff. The Pima County Sheriff needs to do a press conference. I'm just looking to see if there's anything new. I mean, they haven't done a press conference in how many nights now? How many days? Just because they brought someone in doesn't mean they have an arrest. Keep that in mind, people, too. A suspect doesn't mean an arrest. They might be just trying to clear more people. We don't know. That's why this Pima County Sheriff needs to come out and say something. Looking to see if there's any latest updates here beyond what ABC News is reporting. Yeah, here we go. This is what I was talking about. The FBI's elite hostage rescue team deployed on the ground in Tucson and several counties has SWAT teams mobilized. That's an indication, though. I would say that's even more of an indication that shit's about to go down over there. And then they detain somebody. I think they're on to whoever it is. I'm just reading, see if anything else is going on. Yeah, I think that's it. I think the only thing we have is from ABC News. There's nothing else being reported. Everyone is just repeating ABC News. Everyone, I'm looking at every link. Every link is just like ABC News, ABC News. So it's all the same report. Well, whoever is at ABC News that broke that story deserves a raise because you fed us all tonight. This is amazing development. Yeah, they are 2 hours behind, so I have faith in law enforcement. You know, it depends. I gotta say, Recovery Cat, it depends if they want to solve the crime. You know what I mean? Like I think in this case, they want to solve it. There's no conflict for them. They look like heroes, so they put all the resources. When they want to get something done, they can get something done. But do they always want to get something done? Sometimes it's just lack of interest. You're not important. Your case isn't important. We're not going to spend the resources on it. Sometimes it's conflicts, like we've seen with Karen Reed, I believe. But if they really want to solve something, I feel like, especially the FBI, especially when you have the top experts. I don't know if everyone has seen the two ex-FBI agents we've had on the show in the past. Jodine Weber, number one, she's great. Especially Rob D'Amico, he's on MSNBC a lot now, security expert. I'm actually going to hit him up, get him back on the show to talk about some of the cases and things we're covering. But it's hard because he's always, every night he's on MSNBC, from Charlie Kirk to this case. He's on there for the ICE stuff. Like, he's always on there because he's so good. The guy is he's just a straight shooter. He doesn't get into politics left or right. He just says it how it is, and he's so practical. He's one of the best guests we've had on the show, Rob D'Amico, former FBI. When those guys want to get something solved, they can get it done. So, yeah, Rob is great. I got to hit him up and get it back on. Oh, yeah, I should talk about Sean, too. The whole Enrique thing. 4 state police are going to be tried. They've basically... a grand jury decided to go forward with charges against them. And I got to say, like, Sean McDonough had a picture of them. One of them, he fingered one of the 4 when it happened, basically right after when it happened. Sean McDonough was right on this. He had this story. He had the source. He was doubted. So was LTL. I think this Enrique story, definitely validation for Sean McDonough and LTL, Brian LTL. I'd say congratulations to both of them. And I saw Sean McDonough back up on Twitter reminding people, posting the photo. And I said, congrats to Sean McDonough. I actually invited him on the show last night, last minute. We did that last minute show. We did a last minute show tonight. But last night I hit him up. I texted, like, if you want to come on tonight, just, do a victory lap because you nailed it. And he really did nail it. So, congrats to Sean. Unfortunately, Sean was tied up. He had something going on with his wife. I think they were out to dinner or something. But congrats to Sean. He nailed it, and so did LTL. LTL told us the whole time, this is going to be handled. Trust me. And he was right. A lot of people doubted it. So congrats to Sean. Congrats to LTL. Yeah, that might be a good show. I'll try to do that. Get Rob and Jodine together. Ooh, That might be good. And Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Yeah, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Big news today. We put that on the screen earlier, but I'm looking forward to covering that trial. And I'm looking forward to after when she's innocent too, because we'll have a lot of content throughout there. I guarantee you on that one. Yeah, Sean and Brian, congratulations to both of them. All right, I think we covered it all. I think I think we're good now. I'm going to check Twitter one more time. The person is being detained south of Houston, apparently. Crazy. This is just it's pretty wild out there. You know what I got to do is I'm going to put on this one second. Copyright strike tonight. This is outside Nancy Guthrie's house right now.
Okay, what does it say? Very good. Very good. It's going to be during the show. Yeah, I think at 10 o'clock we should.
Unbelievable. We're all just sitting waiting. Everybody's waiting. All the YouTube shows are waiting. Just wild. Seeing if anything happens tonight. Somebody's been detained. Look at all the YouTube channels. There's so many channels live about this story right now. It's unbelievable. Remember I said I was about done. I was just about to wrap it up, and then all this happens. Now I don't want to go anywhere. It's unbelievable. Yeah, this is live outside our house right now. Yeah, I'm gonna go smoke one up. I'm gonna smoke a big one up if this case gets dismissed like I think it might against me. The defamation suit. It's gonna be a big celebration. Pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty funny that we're just all watching this house to see if anything happens, but I don't think anything's gonna happen at this house tonight. You know? I wish we had a feed outside of the house that they're searching in Tucson, or maybe a jam space if it's a musician. Maybe it's their practice space or a U-Haul unit. You never know. You never know what they're searching something tonight apparently in Tucson or southern Tucson apparently. So we know somebody's been detained for questioning. We don't know what it means. There really hasn't been anything official. It just came through ABC News. We're still waiting for any type of confirmation from law enforcement officially. And I'm just searching Twitter, seeing if there's any updates before we head out for the night. But like I said, if there's an arrest or a press conference tonight, late night, I'll definitely come back live. I think at this point we're just looking at shadows. We're just looking at an empty house and nothing's going on. The real business is happening in Tucson. All right, we have a new report from NBC. NBC is now reporting that it is unclear if the person detained for questioning is the same person in the videos that we have seen released by the FBI at the door of Nancy Guthrie's residence. And they haven't found Nancy. That's one thing we do know from these reports, at least. That's what they're saying. She hasn't been found. But they detained somebody in Tucson. And elite hostage rescue teams have been deployed on the ground in Tucson as well. SWAT teams mobilized. Yeah, not too much beyond that going on outside Nancy's house, that's for sure. I think it's somebody close to the family. A friend or a relative or a brother-in-law, somebody like that. Or maybe someone that was a maid that got fired, Somebody said it could be a landscaping guy, could be anything like that. Anybody that Nancy Guthrie or Savannah have come in contact with that may have had an issue with them. That's what I think. It's someone who's disgruntled maybe about money, someone that's jealous of their money, something like that's what I believe. I think it's something that's the most likely. And usually that's friends, family, or people that work for you. And a lot of people keep pointing at the brother-in-law. Usually when there's smoke, there's fire, but not always. Sometimes I always say it's like probably 50-50 that they're right, Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. I remember when I was in college, there was some kids that I used to hang out with from actually my wrestling team that were friendlies with a couple kids from Seabrook. And I came home for like a party, hanging out with some high school friends. Maybe my first or second year of college. You come home for like a winter break or whatever, spring break. You see your old friends, and they're telling me about this school teacher who convinced a couple people they know to go whack the husband. It was Pam Smart. It was Billy and the Billy kid that killed Pam Smart's husband. I don't know if people remember that. They made a movie about it with Nicole Kidman. I heard about that through my friends before they made the arrest. I'll never forget that. When you hear something through the grapevine, and then like a week or two later, you're like, holy shit. Yeah. Those kids were talking, basically. The kids who were involved in it were talking to people that I know, that I grew up with. Yeah, the last person that saw her was the brother and the brother-in-law and the daughter, right? Or the son-in-law, I guess we should call him. The son-in-law and the daughter. Let's call him the brother-in-law. He's the brother-in-law to Savannah. He's the son-in-law to Nancy. Yeah, there you go. That could happen too. It could be like a roofer, a handyman, a housekeeper, especially if they're disgruntled about money. They felt like they weren't respected, or they were shorted, or they got fired. People do crazy stuff, especially when they get to know you, right? Especially the longer you know somebody like that, the more likely, they're to have an incentive. I don't think this is a stranger thing. I don't think it's a gang. A lot of people think it's gang. A lot of people think it's related to the Epstein stuff because Savannah did interview some of the Epstein victims. I don't think anything like that. I think it's, like I said, a family member or somebody that worked for them. That would be my guess. That's what I bet the FBI is looking at right now. So I keep saying this, I'm going to take one more look. We've had a long stream tonight. I'm going to take one more look before we go and see if anything else is happening. A nerdy addict on Twitter is saying social media user in Nancy Guthrie's Facebook group says they contacted the FBI. I saw this post actually today too, but he's saying they contacted the FBI about a neighbor's adult son with a lengthy criminal history, including assault and kidnapping related offenses, who reportedly lives a few doors down from Nancy Guthrie's house, urging investigators to look into him. So there you go. And apparently they were looking into someone else's backyard that was close to her house. So maybe it's this guy. Maybe he's hiding out in Tucson. Who knows? I mean, you never know. It could be a neighbor. It could be somebody like that. So maybe he was mowing her lawn, like you never know. Lots on X about Kurt Cobain today. I'll have to check that out. I've been, I don't know if people follow American Spy Fox, but he's also beginning into the Epstein files on Courtney Love, which, I've had him on the show before with Tom Grant, and I talked to Courtney Love's father on the phone for like 2 hours one day, right before he died. And he was hoping to come on my show, but he was sick at the time. I think he had cancer, and he did end up dying. He never came on my show, but he kept on talking about Courtney, how she was involved in sex trafficking, and that she had, he claimed that she had been sex trafficked herself. She talks about it. She's mentioned it before. She talks about the Yokozuna. And apparently there's always been those rumors and talk that she was involved in sex trafficking. Apparently she comes up in Epstein. So Courtney Love is not having a good week, I think. She's not having a good week because all the stuff with Kurt always goes back to her. If he was murdered, she's most likely to have done it. Let's be serious. And she's also got the sex trafficking stuff with Epstein. Who knows? She could get caught up in that too. She is not having a good week PR-wise. And again, I'm not saying this is all fact-based or just saying there's some smoke around her. There's some speculation around her. There's people wondering, did she do that? Did she, not fact-based, just speculation. It's opinion. I don't want to get sued by Courtney. She's another one that likes to threaten lawsuits. I had an interaction with Courtney too, way back. Online, actually, on my blog. She actually left her phone number on my blog to call her, and I did call her. And I never talked to her. I talked to the dude who picked up, who has been named in some things, let's just put it that way, in the past. A guy named Ross. That's who picked up. But then she got mad at me because I started asking Ross questions. And she badmouthed me on her social media. So I've already had an instance with Courtney Love. I do not trust her at all. Just put it that way. Allegedly, Courtney. Yeah. You know who I have to have back up is American Spy Fox. He's back. If you're not following his channel, follow him and tell him, say, hey, Mike from the Young Jerks was talking about you, American Spy Fox. I like that guy. He's good. He's a musician, too. He's a father. He's a funny guy. He gets very serious. When he gets fired up, I love it. I love when he gets fired up. He gets mad at people. He's calling out some of the other researchers who kind of bigfooted him, and they don't seem as on point as he is. They seem like they go with a lot of BS for the clicks, where American Spy Fox, that dude does his research. He does his work. You can tell. I follow American Spy Fox. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up tonight. It's been a long night. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If there's any developments tonight, I will come back. I will come back. I'm doing one more search for Guthrie, see if there's anything new. Yeah, the person that they're questioning has been detained. They have not been arrested. So let's just make sure that people understand that too. But it's a good sign that something's they're onto something. Maybe. I feel like something's happening, especially because they brought those FBI SWAT teams in. They don't just activate these people unless they think something's going down. And we definitely know it's a kidnapping now because of the Nest video. So this is getting wild, actually. But there's nothing new in the last couple minutes, except everyone's just saying, person has been detained for questioning. That's all, you know. I'm going to check the Pima County Facebook and all that one more time. Just make sure they haven't announced a press conference. Yeah, there's nothing announced yet for Pima County Sheriff's Office. So as soon as they have a new press conference, I will definitely be streaming it. Hopefully, I'm not walking a dog at that time. Yeah, it looks like there's nothing, no details about a scheduled press conference tonight. I'm going to check one more thing before we go here. Yeah, they haven't made any updates on the social media in the last 7 hours. They're basically just, the latest post was call 1-800-CALL-FBI or 8888-crime or 520-351-4900 if you have any tips for the FBI. Tips.fbi.gov can also be submitted online. But nothing new. Nothing new. Yeah, this might be my longest goodbye. But there's a reason, because there's movement, you know? All of a sudden, we've been covering this for days. And we're so close. But I think we'll find out tomorrow. So I think it is time to go, Sarah. You just gave me the push I needed. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you hit all notifications. And check in tomorrow, because if that Pima County press conference goes live, we'll be live. Oh, and Thursday night, I'm going to have a lawyer on here, an attorney. We're going to be discussing the Kelsey Fitzsimmons situation, I think. It's weird because now things have moved, so I'm not sure, actually. But we'll see. Well, I'm pretty sure Thursday night we're going to have a show with an attorney discussing some true crime stuff. All right, I'll see you later. Have a great night. Mike Crawford checking out. Peace out. Keep your fingers crossed for me for the defamation suit being dismissed. Hopefully I find out tomorrow.